level 1, married happily, paycheck to paycheck happily, meaningful relationship, meaningful life with a family. And now, by the way, I have to raise money to pay 2 big bills next week. All my utilities are due next week. Tomorrow, if I stop streaming, I would not be able to get a job. So it would be the end of my life. But outside of that, everything else is good in my life. You know what I mean? So I'll be the guy on level 1. I streamed myself masturbating. I'll be the guy fucking life. I'll be the for the thousands of children. I'll be the guy on level 1.
You're still on mission 1.
I'll be the guy. I'll be the thousands of children.
When your life is all positive instead of negative, it's a much better situation. Big up Meerkat, and I can tell you that from personal experience. Look at my life now. I have a beautiful wife. I have a beautiful life with a family, right? Everything here is so much better than what I had before. Why? Because I'm a positive person.
Why do I say I'm not a children's entertainer? Because I'm not a puppet. I'm not here to play a character. I'm not here to pretend that I'm something that I'm not. I don't dye my hair. I don't act stupidly constantly to get attention from children. I don't do stupid pranks. You know what I mean? I don't cause drama. I'm here just to play games and have fun. I'm a legitimate gamer.
Big up Meerkat.
I need banana, tasty banana, put banana in my mouth, tasty banana. I need banana, tasty banana. Please don't feel like comes in there. Put banana in my mouth, squeeze banana. Put banana in my mouth, squeeze banana. Put banana in my mouth.
Act and talk a certain way with certain mannerisms, certain over-the-top reactions, screaming at the top of their lungs, jumping, flailing, doing weird things, constantly on camera.
I need banana, tasty banana, put banana in my mouth, tasty banana. I need banana, tasty banana. Please don't feel like comes in there. Put banana in my mouth, squeeze banana. Put banana in my mouth. Squeeze banana. Put banana in my mouth.
This one's for all my baby girls.
I need banana, tasty banana. Put banana in my mouth, tasty banana. I need banana, tasty banana. Please don't feel like comes in there. Put banana in my mouth, squeeze banana. Put banana in my mouth, squeeze banana. Put banana in my mouth.
When we hit the 250 vet streak for that celebration, I'm going to debut a new vest. There we go. Celebratory bubble blow. Very nice. There's bubbles everywhere. There's bubbles all over my PlayStation 4 controller. There's bubbles on my microphone stand. There's bubbles everywhere tonight. It's not a control.
This one's for all my baby girls.
And it starts to click, you know, if someone just keeps saying sorry when they do something, they're not really apologizing, right? If apologizing isn't just words, it's I will not do this thing again because I feel bad about it. If you keep doing the thing, it's not actually an apology.
You have no respect for people that are alive, for fucking people that are dead. You don't give a shit about anybody but yourself. You have no respect.
Apologizing isn't just words.
You have no respect. Do you value money more than our friendship?
But that's the way of them saying, we want nothing to do with Phil at all moving forward. Let's make up a bunch of shit or twist a bunch of shit to make him sound bad because everyone hates him now anyway on the internet. So let's make him look like the villain so everyone will believe it and we'll just be washing our hands of the whole situation and we never have to deal with him ever again. And you know what? Look what's happened. Literally, no one bugs them anymore. Nothing. It's all, they're completely washed. The hands are clean.
You have no respect for people that are alive, for fucking people that are dead. You don't give a shit about anybody but yourself. You have no respect.
Apologizing isn't just words. It's I will not do this thing again.
You have no respect.
Because I feel bad about it.
He watches too much WWE. John starts getting text messages at 6 o'clock in the morning. That means it's like 2 o'clock in the morning there. So now, when you start reading them, you start looking at it, and it doesn't make any sense why he's even texting. and it's not even coherent. So you start wondering if the guy was like, if he's been drinking and texting.
I actually admitted this last year. I'll say it again. I actually do play some mobile games. I do. All right. The ones that I play are free to play or incredibly inexpensive. Like you spend $1 here or there to make progress.
This one's for all my baby girls.
Got me that gotcha. I love it. Got me that gotcha. Begging for fucking tips and shit on Street. It's WWE Champions time. I'm stupid. WWE game plays like Candy Crush. Moving gems around, breaking colored gems. I love it. Again, it's pay to win. The more money you sink into it, the more characters you can summon, the higher chance you'll get the better characters, etc., etc. All right. Got me that gotcha. I love it. Got me that gotcha. Begging for fucking tips and shit on Street. Gotcha. Got me that gotcha. Thanks for the money, dummies. Supercar. That was a mobile game I played like 5-6 years ago, a lot. For about a year, I played it pretty hardcore. All right, even at that point, that was before everything kind of fell apart with YouTube and everything. I was putting a little bit of money into it. I was playing for the top cards. I was playing the shit out of that game, okay? After about a year, they launched what they called Season 2, which reset all the cards in the game and made all your progress essentially worthless. And I said, this game fucking sucks. What a complete waste of time that this was, all right? Today, some shithead hater will take something that I say out of context, and a ton of morons will watch that video. So within a day or two, that video will get like 5,000 views. While my daily gameplay videos each are getting, what, like 1,000 views, if that? Cuck life, 100%. Live the life of the cuck. Why not? YouTube doesn't care. Illegal, immoral, harmful, fucking toxic. This is insane. This is fucking toxic. Cuck life. It became a meme, right? The meme was to hate on me. Were there legitimate reasons? At first, there were. But over the years, are you shitting me how I've changed? Like how different I am now? There is nothing fucking legitimate you could do. With the shit these people say and do, the insane amounts of slander and defamation about me that's just untrue on the internet. There's no way I could ever, in any capacity, you know, legally or otherwise, there's no way I could even dispute 99% of the shit they say because of the insane amount of it that they say. Cuck life, 100%. Live the life of the cuck. Why not? YouTube doesn't care. Illegal, immoral, harmful, fucking toxic. This is insane. This is fucking toxic. Cuck life, 100%. Live the life of the cuck. Why not? YouTube doesn't care. Illegal, immoral, harmful, fucking toxic. This is insane. This is fucking toxic. Cuck life, 100%. Live the life of the cuck. Why not?
Because I just want you guys to understand that means the world to me when I get a message like that. Like, it's been tough. You know, my life has been tough over the last decade. It has. And when I read a message like that, I'm sorry that I'm tearing up like a baby. But when I read a message like that, it makes me feel like it was worth it. You know, like all the shit that happened to me and all the stress and the mental shit that I go through on a daily basis, sometimes, that is worth it because there's people out there who got something out of all of this. You know, it wasn't just some dickhead in front of a camera, you know, doing stupid videos. That it actually meant something to people. And that means the world to me. That there's people out there that, you know, for a decade, that they've been watching me and they've been following me and they've been watching my life evolve and how I've become a better person, you know?
For now, that is a business related, and I do still have it.
WWE Champion time. Go, 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 go.
Thanks for the money, stupid fuck.
I love it. Go, 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 go.
By eBay.
Hell! It's been tough. I always think that it's my fault.
Drinking gin. Yep, I'm toxic.
I love Hulk Hogan's dick. My ass is so fucking stretch. Oh, no, you didn't, you motherfucking piece of shit cocksucker.
That didn't happen. And if it did, it wasn't that bad. And if it was, that's not a big deal. And if it is, that's not my fault. And if it was, I didn't mean it. And if I did, they deserved it. Hello, everyone. We are here to react to what I'm calling, and maybe some others, the great babble from Seattle that happened yesterday in the world of DSP. Before I get to that, we need to announce and introduce all the legends around me. And I will start with Mr. I always did it last week too. Fantastic Mr. Samuel. And last week you did it too so well. I need to hear one of these Phil lines read from Sam again. How you feeling, Sam?
I'm really good. Just firstly, I'd like to say a shout out to Ann Leet's liver. Big ups to him. I'll just get right into it.
Yes.
I don't do react streams. I told you. I feel it's some of the most mind-numbingly easy, driveling, meaningless content you could put out on the internet. It's literally easy mode. I want to make a... If you want to see someone who wants to put in absolutely no effort, but make money today, it's time to do a react video. Like, literally, that's my opinion. You could disagree. You can find value in it, and that's okay. That's your take. As a content creator myself, I know there's zero effort in any of that. There's no thought put into it. It's literally... I'm just going to sit here, press play, and make money and do nothing for it. I didn't put any effort, any work, any thought. It was just me reacting to something I'm watching. Wow, I made a paycheck today for absolutely nothing. Because people are stupid, you know. I don't even want to disrespect you guys with that kind of content. I feel like that making that kind of content is literally disrespectful to my audience, because you guys deserve better than that. I could keep going, but you get the picture. That was not 6 months ago, by the way.
Oh, wow. I was expecting you to say that was like from 2017, but no, that was not 6 months ago. And yeah, we're going to get more. Let's get a word quick before we get to our guest. We got to get to the legend, the man behind the thumbnails, the man behind the music listing you were listening to before we got to this show, the man, the myth, the Meerkat.
Welcome, everybody. I'm the legend, apparently. And I am here today to chat with these boys and talk about what was DSP's magnum opus, I guess? Or at least it can't get any much worse than this. So we're going to talk about it today. Welcome, smash the like and all the other stuff you can smash, and enjoy this ramble. Okay? Sound good.
Definitely. And one more person. You know, I was told a long time ago, if you want to make it, you want to seem like you're smart, surround yourself with people that are much smarter than you. And today I did that to the biggest degree possible. Steve of the Dead has joined us, our first guest, and that is not an accident. That is intentional, my friends. We wanted him here as soon as possible. Steve, how you feeling?
Overwhelmed by the magnitude of the task that lies before us. That was a new debunk stream, you know, in terms of like, we have got so much to talk about.
Yes, and the man himself.
Yeah, I'm good.
Good. Yeah, I was kind of worried about how it was going to go, but I'm not worried anymore. We're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about. Hopefully we can fit it all in before we have to kiss you guys goodbye. But Steve, there are some peons out there. They're not so sure about what you do and what you're all about. So we got to let them know. And could you please let us know what you're about? What do you do? What's your background? Give us a quick history of Steve of the Dead.
Yeah, okay. Steve of the Dead. I make increasingly long videos about Phil. I have a degree in forensic psychology, and I've wanted to do videos about Phil for a while, and I never really found like a way to do it. There's one from a couple of years ago about video gaming and addiction, which I should take a look at again, given what we know now. But it was like a one-off, and I thought, it's not right. And then he left Twitch. He got kicked out of Twitch, and the hateful slurs thing, and I was like, I need to do this. There's so much to talk about here, and people apparently like hearing me go, this dickhead's a narcissist. So
yeah,
here I am.
The only negative thing I say about Steve is he doesn't put out enough videos, but go follow him now so you can see the videos he does have, and he's going to make more in the future. Link is down below, of course. Before we get to the real breakdown of the stuff, I do want to, break the ice a little bit. A little bit of levity here. Got a quick game for you, like we did last week. A little bit different this week, though. The game is, I'm going to read some quotes here, and only one of them Phil did not say. It was written by me, ALTInsider. I wrote it myself. I tried to make it feel like, so I've tried to make this hard, but I don't know if I could do it. But here we go. I'm going to read, let's say I'm going to read 4 lines, and you tell me which one is not a Phil take. Okay? Let's start. Rockstar can lick my fucking taint and suck my dingleberries right out of my ass. That's number 1. Number 2. It's the funniest shit ever. He accidentally calls Hulk Hogan an N-word, and he does say the N-word. Number 3. These guys are not even fucking Asian. They're white dudes. What are they doing in a dojo? 4. I've always been into rough sex. Sex with animals, cats, ack. Which one of these was not a quote from Philium, as Rambo called him in their video? I'll start with you, Fantastic Sam. I can read them again if you'd like. That's fine too.
No, it's fine. I'm going to go with the not even Asian dojo one. I think.
Okay, Meerkat, go ahead.
I'm gonna go with the last one with sex with animals. What the fuck?
Yes.
But he probably said that. But I'm gonna go with that. It sounds crazy enough to be made up.
Steve of the Dead.
I feel like the one in the dojo might be from Sleeping Dogs, so I'm with Meerkat. I'm gonna go with the one about sex with animals.
I didn't do good enough. Yeah, 2 people were right today. Sex with animals, I made it up. I couldn't think of how bad to go with my made up one. I was like, do I want to go really offensive or just I kind of kept it kind of light, I thought. But yeah, I have a list of like 20 more, so maybe we'll bring that game back. But nonetheless, let's get into the main pull of this stream right now. The main reason we're all here, and that is what we saw yesterday. We're not gonna, go through the we know the history. I guess I give a short history before we go. Basically, Rambo was friends with DSP. DSP moved to Seattle. They stopped talking. Some shit happened. Phil said some shit. That made Rambo and Howard make a video about that. And then 7 years later, we get the video we saw yesterday. Before we get to that, I think Meerkat, you have some strong feelings about Phil's big decision to the thing he thought long and hard about. His big announcement. Could you let the audience know what that big announcement was and how you feel about that one?
The big announcement that he made a couple of days ago was that he wasn't going to monetize his response to his former friends. However, this is kind of bullshit because the only thing that doesn't get monetized in this case is the videos that he uploads after the fact that just get to have no ads. So he's not going to make like, what, $10? But in the rest of it, he was accepting money, taking all that shit that you could turn off or disable during the reaction portion of the live stream. So that whole thing, that whole narrative of not monetizing, that's kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it, I guess. I made this flowchart real quick yesterday because I had this stream where I tried to actually figure out what his idea was with this and where is he going with it. And it seems like the only thing, like I said, is no ads, and that's kind of it. Everything else is still popping. He's still got tips, members, super chats. They just didn't pop up on the screen.
Yeah. And what makes that worse for me is he thought long and hard about it. Right? So what was the internal thinking there that thought this is a really big decision I got to make here? What do I do? And I know it turned out to be nothing. I mean, he still got all the money he wanted in there, but he was like, I really have to think long and hard about this. So what does that tell you about someone that has to think long and hard about the monetization of a stream about his friends, right? There's the cat.
It's typical DSP though, isn't it?
Yeah, sorry.
It's so typical of DSP to be so to have to be so weird about it. It's not monetizing the videos is a nice thing, sort of, if done properly. But he has to be weird about it, doesn't he? He can never just be tactful. He can never just quietly and respectfully just not mention it. It has to be a big announcement, for him. That shows like what, how little he has to talk about, I guess.
Basically, yeah, that was my read on every time he does something like this. He's making it a huge thing, or at least seem like it's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Because that's really all he's got. And so to him, it is a huge thing. If you have so little in your life that, you're hyped about this upcoming stream where you're going to debunk this thing after 7 years, you're going to make it a big thing because there's now else going on. So
Yeah, like, and I think we should note, like, for him, that was a big deal, right? That's the scary part, right? I'm sure when he went to bed, he's thinking, man, I did a good thing today. You know, I'm not monetizing this stream.
Yeah, he tweeted about it. He said it was a big announcement. He hyped it up with capital letters, a big announcement. Man, I'm not gonna make money off my dead friendship again, but except I will, but not in this way. Okay, semantics.
Yeah, and so that's that. We got to get to the thing, but that was just a little pre-thing that we had to talk about before. Also, before we get to the main show, he said a tweet again. What was the exact quote? I should have brought it up. I should have fucking brought it up. I'm working as hard as I ever have. I put more time in. I put more effort in. That turned out, as we all were kind of wondering in the detractor sphere, what could that be? What could that be? Sam called it, said he heard news it was like a video, and maybe he made that video, but no. Someone else made a video for him that just made everything easier to react to. He didn't even make it. So again, I'm wondering, I'm asking you, the public, where was that extra hard work, the time, the effort? Where was all that? Because it wasn't in the video, so where else could it be? Preparing the reactions, right?
Yeah.
Taking the notes.
Yeah. Making notes.
Watching the actual video.
Yeah, do any of you think the guy who made that video got paid? Do you think he chucked him a couple of quid for?
You know the answer to that. Fuck no.
It was a favor to Phil.
Yeah.
It was a favor.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get too down to Theo theory lane, but there was talk that is das bullshit. What do we feel about that theory? Is that confirmed or not, Meerkat? Maybe you know a little bit from the farms?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know, but I guess it does make sense. The dude is decent at video editing. He used to do that, and he's a DSP enjoyer. So definitely it is possible, but I don't know. I don't know. Whoever it was, it's a cuck, and they got cucked again because they got to make stuff for DSP for free. And the stuff that they made was about people complaining that they did stuff for DSP for free. So it's like kind of 4D getting cucked. And it's very funny. Anyways, whoever it was, still pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just, again, to go back to my point before, he can't just be normal about it as well. Like that, again, is another weird thing on top of the announcement. You've got someone making him essentially what is a rebuttal, you know. I mean, it's mind-boggling. It really is.
Don't sit on that. That's my notepad.
Steve's having cat issues, as we all do from time to time. Really, what I liked about it was he thought, again, remember he used the wording, I have put more time and effort into anything. So what is that, right? If you're going to make a React video, I mean, it even made it worse, too. Let's get real. He made it more palatable for him to spray his narrative to the world, right? That's what the video did, right? It made it more, it's easier for people to see his side of things. And to his credit, there was some negative stuff added, for sure. He didn't cut too bad, at least that I could see. I'm not spending the time to watch them back to back, but to compare. But most of the negative points, he did leave those in and show them, so that's fair. But it's still, everyone wanted just, here's Rambo and John's video, here's what I think about it, right? Or pause and stuff in the interesting points. But that video was made so it's easier for him to get his point across. Am I wrong in that? I mean, that's what the point of it was.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, so...
Yeah.
Anyway, so
if it wasn't, you wouldn't have them clips there. It wouldn't have been formatted so that you had like John and Howard there, and then there's like a blank space here for Phil to put his webcam, and then there's like bits here where occasionally a clip would show.
Yeah.
It was made deliberately for him to do that.
Yeah. And so now now let's move to the video started. One thing you notice right away, it's when there are people talking about Phil looks like the most uncomfortable human on the face of the earth, right? He cannot sit still. He can't look anywhere. He doesn't know what to do with his hands. He doesn't know how to sit. It's incredible. And I really think you just watch that. If you haven't watched for that specific thing, he doesn't know what to do. And that's why the first 20 minutes take how many hours? 4? I don't even know. That was ridiculous. I mean, that shows something. And Steve, you know better than me, but when you can't handle people talking about you to that level, and they wouldn't even say anything yet. It was like, all right, let me tell you, Rambo starts that video with like, you know, me and Phil were good friends. We started back, you know, and then he's already...
Pause. Let me tell you about back in Connecticut. The thing, it stuck out to me, and we might come back to it again later, but his body language through the first half was markedly different to after the second half. And that could be because he had the money buff during the feasting bit in the middle. And he thought, right, okay, I've made like $60 odd or whatever, and I've eaten, you know, and I've had my break to have a quick. So I'm feeling better. But it went from incredibly nervous and fidgety during the first half to, right, okay, I'm either defiant, like, because I'm defensive, or I'm really upset and emotional, which again we'll get to later. But the first half specifically was lots of fidgeting, lots of moving around, and he kept looking back and forth.
Yeah.
Like that really rapidly. And it did my head in, because if you're that nervous, don't do it.
Yeah,
And it came across very much like he was nervous. He might have been trying to portray actually, no, I've chosen to do this, so I'm very calm and I'm going to be rationally explaining everything to you. But his body language showed he was nervous, he was fidgety, he just couldn't sit still.
Yeah.
And normally when you are sitting and watching something, you sort of like this. You just sort of watch passively, because watching something like that is a passive experience, but he was up and about all the time, and I think that really sort of betrayed how he was really feeling about this. I think maybe on some level he knew it wasn't a good idea, but he still managed to put that to bed enough to go and do it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a great point. I do think he was kind of hesitant about doing this whole thing, because of course this is like one of the biggest drama arcs he's had. And from what I saw today in some clips, he did look very, I don't know, I mean, I don't usually see people try and confront DSP, you know, and challenge what he thinks, but that video is basically all of that, and he looked very uncomfortable to be feeling attacked like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that much is clear from the times where he looked to camera and almost addressed Howard directly, you know, and I'm sure we'll get to that, but yeah. But one thing I will say as well, I someone may do it. I can imagine Dick stroking Phil vlogs to do this, but the looks to camera, you know, every 5 seconds.
I've noted it down. Make a counter of this because it's like with the blinking, with the rapid blinking thing. I was like, that's betraying something. That I need to count that and see how rapid.
Exactly. I guess what I do want to talk about. I have a clip to play here. One thing people do when they feel like they're getting attacked, they kind of not be attacked, but they want to prove their point across. Is you kind of can set some parameters before you hear like the other side's evidence, right? You can set some parameters to that evidence of why this is not good and why that might not be bad. So I want to play this first clip. It's a little bit long, not too long though. It's worth it. Where can I get that? Hold on, let me get the clip ready. This is come on, dude. Bug streaming mechanics, dude. Hold on. All right, so stream share coming up there, and we play this. This is about. There's going to be three. There's a Meerkat song, by the way. Go follow that. There's three conditions he lists, and I think it's important to show those about, you know, what. I've already started the video. I've already failed in this. What a fail. There's three things he says here that are important. I'm going to have to cut this video here. But there's three things he wants us to know before he starts. And you see the camera right there? This is not my failure. This is what it really was on the stream. Phil's face is half covered by the one bit of work he had to do. You can see his left eye is covered. That's not for me. Okay? Here we go. Here are the three conditions to remember as we go through this thing, right? Setting the stage for I did nothing wrong. I did everything correct. Here we go.
All right? Even me trying to listen back to this recording and do this react for you guys is incredibly difficult, because for some reason they're jumping forward and back in time. So they'll be saying, oh, I want to talk about this subject of what just happened to Thanksgiving, but then I want to talk about something that happened in the past, but then I want to talk about something that happened last year, but then I want to talk about something that happened in the past again, but then I want to talk about something that happened yesterday. But then they'll say things like, oh, but I told Phil twice about this. Like, but wait, what, when, where? It's very confusing. I'll try my best to clarify, but even for me, like, I get my head rattled listening to this because it jumps all over the place.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna stop it there because you guys can't hear right now. So, but what he's saying there is, it jumps all over the place, right? It jumps all over the place. The timeline is so ridiculous. I don't know what's going on. It's rattling my head. Those are all words he said. So, what, Steve? I see you're bouncing out of the seat. So, what do you think about that? It's really, really strange.
Yeah, it bothered me as well. I thought about it for a while, and I'm not entirely sure, but I think it might be a control thing. It might, again, be I'm doing this to give across my side of the story, and I've got it all arranged so that it helps me. Mm-hmm. But this is something that I have to work at. I have to like follow in a way that when I do my stuff, it's chronological. I'll take you right back to the start, even if you don't know who John and Howard are, and all you need to know is they were my friends from back in the day. I'm going to take you right back to the start of my career to explain it to you, so that I can lay everything out in an order that satisfies me and is my preferred way of doing it. But here, because they're sort of talking and bouncing about, so they go back and forth like any normal conversation would, but he has to expend extra effort to follow it. So the fact that it's not been presented to him in a way that is best for him probably annoys him. The fact that he has to work for it, and they didn't consider him. They're addressing him directly, but they didn't bother to put it into chronological order. Probably really annoys him.
That's interesting, yeah. And he definitely says, and the first example is Rambo literally says this. It's like, hey, video came out on Thanksgiving. I mean, it's a day for the family. And then last year, Thanksgiving, he unfollowed me on Twitter. That's the two events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's confusing about that?
He's not saying like 5 events. He said 2 things. They happened the same day, the previous year.
Yeah,
and also he was an active participant in this.
Go ahead.
Sorry,
it's his story.
Sure,
yeah.
He didn't go right back to in 1886 the Indians and the Pilgrims and all that stuff, and that's why we celebrate Thanksgiving. So on this Thanksgiving, I unfollowed Howard and John on Twitter.
Yeah,
he didn't give all that. He was just bouncing back and forth like normal.
Yeah,
again, that's the socialization thing again. He doesn't understand that, like, normal back and forth, that he doesn't follow a strict timeline. So yeah, I think that might be that.
He didn't start the story at the conception of his friends when he usually, I'm friends with John. Okay, John was born in the 80s, a small town. Maybe you don't know this town. It's called Massachusetts, but northeast America. America's a big country, right below Canada, above Mexico. But that's how he starts. That's how his stories go, But all right, we're gonna be here too long by Cape saying this. But Phil opened up with the big one, the Thanksgiving Day video, which anyone doesn't know. The Thanksgiving Day video is the straw that broke the camel's back for their friendship. He said that's the one where it was like, I don't know, no idea why Rambo's mad at me. He's never said anything to me. Everything is 100% on their side. I did nothing wrong. Those were his words. They never talked to me, right? That was the key takeaway from that Thanksgiving Day video, right? I remember this is a year and a half after Phil moved, and there was some talk of when they're going to do their playthrough together. Phil kept giving those updates, and like, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Finally, Phil gets pissed off enough, says, you know what? I'm going to end it. And then this is after he read Rambo's tweet, by the way. But then he said, Rambo never talked to me. I always say Howard instead of Rambo, but Rambo never talked to me. I don't know what's going on. It's over. That's it. Phil did come out forward and say that was a complete lie, right? Just totally... That was it. That was a 100% lie. That's Phil did admit his first lie. Why I bring that up, besides the fact that Phil admitting he's lying, is Rambo starts his video saying, every time, Phil says this a lot, it's 100% the truth. What are the exact lines? I wrote them down. It's 100% true. The bottom line is, I have to be 100% honest with you. And Rambo brought that up saying, if you say that a lot, what does that mean about you, right? And then Phil's first video starts with all those words mixed up, and then he says, that was all a lie, right? And then at the end of the video, he said, that's one of my mannerisms. It doesn't mean I'm telling, I'm lying all the time. It means that I'm getting serious, right? That was just what does that mean when you always have to say before you say something, it's 100% of the time. The truth of the matter is, I'm being 100% honest. I'm the realest motherfucker on the internet. What does that mean, So
you just need me.
I mean, even if he meant it by the fact that he wanted to get serious, when you're serious, you are still honest. You don't bullshit people when you're serious. So I still don't get it. And of course, I think it's mannerism still, because he says all these words to make himself look smart all the time. But you're also saying you're about to be honest, and then you blatantly lie. How does that make you look? And everybody caught up to it, and now they're calling him out.
Yep.
Yeah. You can say it for emphasis, but you're still emphasizing bullshit, essentially, aren't you?
Yeah.
And if nothing else, we should all know how the ease of which he spouts just anything that has no relevance to truth at all, right? Watch that Thanksgiving Day video. He's saying this with the confidence of someone that is, the baddest dude on the internet, right? But it's bad as in the other meaning. Not cool. It means he's saying this with such conviction, right? 100% on their side, right? If I was that's what made the video, by the way. That's what made Howard and Rambo make that video, because the hubris with which he speaks to them. And let's not forget the Thanksgiving Day video. It says, if you're a man, you confront people with your problems. He admitted Rambo did that exact thing at least 3 times, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about ancient history here. Yeah, go ahead.
He admitted that segment was completely bullshit, and he apologized super profusely. That was one of the most apologizing I've seen from DSP. He was sitting there being like, wow, I can't believe I lied like this. Such a fucked up, irredeemable thing. Inexcusable. It was a really funny segment.
Yep.
It was the old me, though. The young me, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was old.
Phil back then was a dickhead. Phil now is mature and recognizes it.
Yep.
That's not accepting responsibility, though, either. That's not saying, yeah, I made a mistake and I fucked up. Because you're still going, that was the old me. There are other conditions attached to my acceptance of responsibility. You have to remember, it's not me now. I'm a different person now. So you're still not accepting fault or responsibility or anything for what you did. So
yeah.
No, it's just any chance he gets to apologize, he'll double down on it to really emphasize it, because he does not come off well in this video, and any chance he can get to put himself up a little bit, he's going to take it.
The early theme that is also worth talking about is a real separation of friends. There's 2 different friends, Phil and Rambo, and there's another friend, Phil and Howard. And those are 2 different worlds, and this Phil really latched on to this early on, let us know that at the beginning. And most notably, he said it when he looked in the camera, "Why are you here, Howard? Why are you here?" yeah, Steve's got it. Looking right at the camera.
Hello, Howard.
Why are you here, Howard?
Howard, listen.
That was like awkward, like it always is. But he looked at the camera and said, "Why are you here, Howard? How are you involved? Howard? Hello, Howard?" That's what he literally said. And that was really weird. That's really, again, a thing of setting up the stage where this is what they're saying is true, but there's truth you don't know about. And that's that Howard was not a part of this as much as Rambo was, right? And that was really something that he latched onto. I'm sure that in his little notebook of notes, he said, okay, hit on this point, circle it, all right, Howard's not really friend, circle. I'm going to hit on that as many times as I can throughout the day. And that's what he fucking did, right?
Yeah.
I'd kill to see them notes. Throwing it out there. I actually pay to see them notes. Kat, if you're watching, mail them me. DM me, I'll send you my address.
Yes,
that's I sort of initially thought that was obviously just like a social dominance thing, like he's saying, like, I'm closer to John than you, so you can fuck off, and John's the one who matters. But then I thought maybe it's a self-defense thing, because Howard arguably has the stronger criticisms in that video. He's the one who takes a more severe and defined line against Phil. Like Rambo's quite concessionary, and Rambo's very much just want everyone to be chill and happy. But Howard hammers his criticisms home, like, emphatically. So I think him sort of like going, you weren't even part of this. You weren't even my friend. You were a friend of a friend. Sort of pushes them away. It means you don't have to deal with them or take them as seriously because they're not somebody who's that close to you. So I sort of feel it might be that now.
Yeah.
But he did it a lot. He did it throughout the stream. He would totally denigrate Howard and be like, nah, John's the one who matters, not you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think that was one of his biggest points he tried to make throughout the whole thing, is to dismiss Howard's criticism because they weren't as close. But I still think Howard was the guy who just saw him for the person he truly was and just kind of led Rambo in the direction and realizing that himself as well. And then he did, and then that was it.
Yep. And
his entire video essentially rests on a few things that he can, a few excuses that he can hang, his argument on it, essentially. And I think that was probably top of his list, wasn't it, really? Just, Howard wasn't my friend. Yeah,
that was a big sticky point that he just gave us endlessly, saying, okay, I have to talk about Howard's not my friend, Howard's not my friend, Howard's my friend. One other point he did make about Rambo was Rambo talks a lot about money. Right? Rambo first starts, I don't want to talk about, it's not about money. This is not about money. But then, and then Phil is so quick to say, but then he talks about his money. That's all he does. He talks about money. I don't get it. I just don't get it. That was really
not
funny.
making money.
Yeah, that was really, really good. I mean, from Phil, the king, right? That's what he's the king of. He's talking about money, and he says that. was definitely a quotable clip there. Also, then we get to the deeper part of it, and Phil brings up "Pay Me Tons," right? I'm not gonna play it here if you haven't seen it. It's a great video, and Phil really latched on to this is definitely about me, and all other videos Rambo made are about me too, right? And that was, I don't know, because he kept saying he said dark side. The phrase used was, there is a dark side, right? Like what other word? I'm not sure what other word you could use. You know, there was a bad aspect or something. He used dark side, and that Phil latched onto that like a leech. Okay, this is about me, and that's bringing me down. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Let's go to you, Sam.
Oh damn! Where do you start? It's again, you know. He doesn't have much to come back with in this video, and this is something again that he can nitpick on, because you know essentially his side of the argument is essentially nitpicking, which is something I don't understand, because you know these guys have, you know, they're giving nice little concise examples talking about big picture stuff, and then there's this guy who's been around for 14 years and he's having to nitpick, and how does that make any sense, you know? So yeah, and this is just one of them. This is just one of those things. And whether it's about him or not, you know, like, take a joke. Come on.
Yeah. And remember, his big thing was that came out after they weren't already talking, right? That was his big reasoning why that really hurt Phil, was that we already weren't talking. He makes this Pay Me Tons video. It says dark side. And if you want to see cringe fucking reactions, watch Phil during that. Ugh. I can't play it. God. I can't play it for you. I can't. I'm out. If you ask me to play it, you're getting the manual lean in. I'm not doing it. Right? It's bad.
There were several moments when he was reacting to some of those added clips that were extra in that edited video, when he just didn't have anything to say, so he would just clown it up and ham it up and pretend like he's kind of addressing the point, but he was just kind of making fun of it and dismissing it. So it didn't work out for him in those segments when it was just like he would look at the camera and smile and nod, as in to mock the thing that's being said, but the thing being said was true.
Yeah.
So maybe they should have deleted that from the video. If they're gonna edit it, at least delete the bad parts. Come on, do it fake all the way.
Yeah.
I think that we all really need to remember throughout all of this, when we're discussing like how Phil's handling or responding to something, is he's seen this before. So this isn't a reaction. Every emotional display you'll see, every behavior, everything that he says has been thought about, and it's been chosen. He's deliberately decided, at this point, I'm just going to act like this. You know, I'll act like this while I'm playing this video, and then I'll deal with it. So every sort of like deliberate, like look to the camera and like that is chosen. It's put on. And similarly, every display of contrition and remorse or upset and sadness, they're all chosen. He's acting that way. It's not a reaction. He's planned this out in advance. So that's an important one to keep in mind as we go forward.
Yeah, we are definitely going to talk about the biggest show of emotion that's come a little bit later, trying to keep it a little bit along the timeline here, just to make it easier to follow. Then we're going to talk about Rambo's talking about money, right? When they were doing the playthroughs together, there was an agreement that they made 50-50, right? That's how it worked. It didn't exactly work out that way because Rambo didn't get any residuals from the videos. He made the money for that month, right? But then one day, Machinima stopped giving them the reports that made that possible. So this is a very interesting story, very telling. Phil says, okay, Rambo came to me and said, okay, I'll take $100. And then Phil literally admits, I had a number in my head. It was $250. But because Rambo asked for 100, he said, okay, 100, right? And he almost lied. He caught himself. He said, I said 250. Rambo said he's cool with 100. Wait. I don't want to say that. I didn't do that. But for me, that makes it worse, right? So in your mind, let's say we make money with this podcast, which we're not. Let's say we make $1,000 a show. And I say, all right, I got to pay everybody. What should I give Meerkat? I'm thinking probably 250, right? 1 out of 4. Meerkat comes to me and says 100. It's kind of fucked up for truly friends to say, yep, 100, cool, right? If you have an idea in your head for what someone should make, your true friend Shouldn't you say 250? No, wait, 250 is better. And Phil chose not to do that. And that's what I think is fucked up.
And I think even before that, there's a piece missing where if you see that something can potentially make you money and you're doing this endeavor with somebody else, you should just have a meeting and discuss, okay, so this is going to make this much money. We need to invest this much. This much is how we're going to get back. And then in advance, they need to know the scope of things, which comes back later with Project 7. We're going to talk about that. There was massive planning failure on DSP's behalf that basically fucked over that whole show. But yeah, in this case, it's a dick move to know the amount that is going to be fair, but take a lower amount just because the other guy couldn't estimate it properly. That's pretty lame.
Yeah. I mean, if you're talking with a customer, cool, right? Customer says, I'll pay you $100 to fix my computer. All right, cool, I'll take that. I was thinking $250, but $100, sweet. But it's not, you should not treat your friends like customers. That was one of the most fucked up things he revealed in this one for me was that's how he approaches everything. It's not like we didn't know that before, but let's get real. We all knew this before, but that was the most telling of a good friend. He said his only real friend. He let us know that many times. Remember Howard? He's a fucking asshole. Rambo was my real friend. I had an idea in my head, 250. Rambo came to me with 100. Cool. He's cool with that. That was bad. That for me was like, that's pretty bad, man. That's pretty bad. There's no joke there to be had. That is the mental where he's at, right? So that's it. Let's keep going. That was a little bit of a serious moment there, but that's real. That was one of the worst ones for me. Was that? And Phil, to get over this, to make him come out on the right side, I paid all the expenses for WrestleMania. I took him to all the conventions. I did all this, letting us know how that deal was fair. After, remember, he told us 250 was fair in his mind, but this 100 is fair because he's doing all this. Rambo, in their backup video, though, says he was carrying all the shit. He was driving for Phil, all this stuff he was doing, and again, Phil just throws that out and says, look at all the shit I gave Rambo. Look at all this stuff I did for Rambo. That's not bad, right? So total manipulation there is what I thought, right? Anyone have thoughts for that?
It is.
Yeah.
It's just sort of like occurred to me now that, again, because it's not a shocking revelation that Phil sees everything transactionally in every personal relationship is like, what can you give me? But the fact that he uses that to justify being good to his friend as well, it's like, he's criticizing me for not giving him this much money here, but look at how much I did spend on him elsewhere. See, that's a good thing. That's what good friends do, because that's how he sees interpersonal relationships. He doesn't consider what it's like to be the other person who might be thinking, well, actually, you can stick WrestleMania and the conventions. I just wanted you to pay me the $250. I wanted you to pay me what was fair. And if you were thinking that and you gave me less, I'd be offended if my friends did that. I wouldn't give a shit about like going to WrestleMania. I'd be like, yeah, but this time here when you did this. But he's seeing it as, but I spent more here, so you can't criticize me for this thing. Yeah. Because look, I did well here. And that's the only way he can frame a positive action is transactionally. Yeah. I spent money here for him. So, I'm a good friend, guys. Come on.
It's just...
Yeah. And as there's so few examples, presumably, of him being a good friend, he really has to emphasize each little thing, because there's presumably not many of them. So
yes. And what if you're Rambo watching this back? I mean, I'm not saying Rambo. I hope he doesn't watch it. I hope he doesn't give a shit about Phil anymore. And I saw that 2019 picture. I tweeted it.
Photo, yeah.
That's awesome, man. I mean, I hope he's having a great life and really doesn't care about this shit. That's awesome. But anyways, Phil felt the need. The last point about this, I'm gonna let it go. Phil said this, and he felt the need to say this because he takes those fucking notes, and he really made sure he wants to get this point out. He felt the need to state for 2 or 3 months when he was paying Rambo $100 a week, he was losing money. After years of making money, 2 or 3 months of paying Rambo, he was actually losing money.
$100.
Yeah, $100. So, thanks, Phil. Oh, I needed that context. That really makes me feel a lot better about that transaction. Thanks. That was really, really strong mention there, bro. Nice reference. That was really bad.
You could say that's him sort of like interpreting relationships. Saying, look, it took an effect on me, the relationship, and I sacrificed in the relationship. But it's like, that's not the sacrifice that we're talking about. That's not how you would sacrifice within a relationship. It's not always about money, but he's just framing it within money and financial transactions because that's all he can do. That's all he knows.
Yeah.
So
that was pretty fucking bad. But okay. We're going to move on to Project 7 here. Do want to remind everyone, please like. We need those likes. We're trying to get 100 likes every single stream, guys. Please. If you can't contribute, contributions are totally optional, but they are required for this business. So please, no, you can't contribute to us, but subscribe and like if you haven't already. You guys are, we're not monetizing this video in any way, right? We're not monetizing it
if you want to buy me Lucasade, I'll take it.
Yeah, buy Steve some fucking drinks, all right? But
I'm sorry, if for Phil's business it takes $300 to run a day, we are 4 people here. Please be considerate. Come on, send the contributions.
Yeah.
Using me to make money now. I'm not interested.
Of course. You're not gonna pull a DSP.
Okay.
Of course. Everybody gets the bag.
It seriously likes the channel. It seriously helps the channel, and it's really big if you could drop a like. I mean, I don't know. Can't do anything about that. We're only at whatever likes we are. I don't know. But anyways, moving on to Project 7. Anyone have anything to say before we get to Project 7? Anyone want to set the stage or anything? Project 7, ready for this?
We all know what it is. So,
okay. Go ahead, Sam.
I watched it for the first time the other day and kind of wish I hadn't bothered.
Yeah, I will say when it came out, I didn't know Phil at the time, but it was pretty good. The editing, of course, nothing to do with Phil's work. The editing done by those dudes is next level for that time period. Right now, it looks kind of weird.
He's shaking your head, Sam. The editing's next level.
Sam doesn't agree. He's a filmmaker, but for the internet of the time, it was fine, right? They had check out their Pac-Man video. I think that's like even worse than Project 7. That had like 4 million views when it came out. That was one of the biggest videos of the fucking internet when it came out. So
really selling it though.
Those guys have good.
It's even worse.
Yeah, respect the pack. I just want them to get their money. They're cool. So Project 7, whatever. Yeah. Jokes are bad. That was a different time, guys. That's how internet shows were made. They're not good. But there was a part where Phil plays the video of him claiming that Rambo has the best parts, right? Everyone's saying Rambo has the best parts and Rambo does this. All the funny parts are Rambo. And this is back in the day, Phil, right? Not talking yesterday, Phil. And he reason he brought this up is to break another one of his I didn't mention earlier, stupidly. One of his conditions was troll baiting was a big problem, and that's like a reason he did that stuff, so that's fine. I don't know why he said that, but troll baiting led to him saying this, and he again 100% said, I lied for this video. So now we're up to 2 videos that are complete fabrications, even though he says the lines of, I'm going to be 100% honest with you, being open and correct, I'm transparent, I'm 100% honest, realest motherfucker on the internet. Again, totally made up. Said, I wrote those parts for Rambo. I did that. Again, this is a total lie. And it's really, how do you defend that? I mean, you can't. That's just another example here of Phil making something out of his thin air to help his bruised ego, right? I mean, that's what it was. What else could it be?
There is a particularly astonishing way you can defend yourself if you can make it so that it was really the trolls' fault because they then went and annoyed John and Howard by telling them that Phil had said this thing.
Yeah.
And then in the video where John and Howard are like, yeah, Phil's fans kept bombarding us with this, and he go, that wasn't my fans, that was the trolls. See, they fell for it. It's just a monumental leap, but he needs to make that leap because that's an external thing. Again, that's not him saying that. That's the problem. It's the fact that the trolls went and bothered Howard and Rambo about the fact that Phil said that. So it's the trolls' fault.
Yeah.
It's not Phil's fault. And so that's how much he has to reach. He can't defend it. He can't accept responsibility for it. So he has to externalize the fault for it.
Yeah, I agree with you a lot on this one. And he used also that same excuse earlier on for when Rambo found out that DSP unfollowed him and Howard. He made this whole up scenario about the trolls going and telling Rambo and Howard that Phil unfollowed them on Twitter.
Yeah.
When you go on Twitter and go to somebody's account, you can see if they follow you back or not. And then DSP made this like 5-minute confusing segment about him being confused how Rambo and Howard would find that he unfollowed them. Yeah. It was such like mental gymnastics for something that is so fucking simple. But of course, it's the trolls' fault again. They did this. And they made him talk about stuff that he really didn't have to talk about, and nobody would really do anything about it. It's just they asked him a question on the internet. You don't have to answer these questions, but of course we know it's him, and he did. But it wasn't his fault, naturally.
That was
Yeah.
go ahead, Sam.
I was just gonna say, I think it's one of his few defenses, isn't it? You know, the kind of trying to confuse people and, you know, confuse the narrative a little bit. So that's basically all I think was going on here. And I think someone in chat just said it, you know, best really. It's they're not trolls. They're just fans, you know. They're presumably Phil's fans. They're not. Why is it always trolls? You know.
Yeah. Like if people that are into people say like, "Hey, dude, Rambo unfollowed you. What's up?" That's it, right? There's a lot of people that people fans of other people that will say that, right? And that's a good point, everybody. That he grabbed onto this point again. This is another one of those moments where he said, "This is a point I'm going to hold on to," and said, "What does it matter that you unfollowed you? The only thing that matters is that other people told him." Right? So he takes the real issue of unfollowing your friend, throws that into the fucking ocean, and then brings up a pound of other needless shit to make you forget about the real issue. This is something Phil does to great effect. I don't know if it's great effect. He attempts to do it to great effect many, many times. Real issue, see ya. Well, it's gone. So why did the trolls do that? The trolls strategically troll baited him, and he brings up this whole narrative of other stuff, but the main point is Phil has nothing to say about this, so when he has nothing to say, he just pretends it doesn't exist, right? This has happened many times. It's a common tactic of Philliard there, right? I mean, it's not something new, but this was specifically really, really strange one where, why did you unfollow Rambo is the question to answer, and then, of course, we get 15 minutes of something else, strategic trolls, or, you know, it was really a strange one, for sure.
Yeah, and all he had to do is... All he had to do is just say, I was upset, I unfollowed him, that's it, period. And that's it. That's enough of an excuse. You don't have to ramble your way around a contrived scenario of other people bringing stuff up and doing stuff. Just say you were something, whatever. I unfollowed him, that's it.
Yeah.
And he also diminishes the impact of it, because, like you said, he unfollowed him on Twitter. That's the whole point of this bit. And he's there going, but it's just Twitter. It's just social media. If you're listening to the trolls, you've bought into it and all that stuff. Well, who cares? Who cares about Twitter? And it's like, but within the context of a relationship, that's seen differently. I mean, ultimately, yeah, unfollowing someone on Twitter is not a big thing. But when it's your mate, when it's someone who you've worked with and you've made videos with, and you made money with, and you've been to conventions with, it's different then. It's not social media then.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's a personal statement within that relationship, yeah.
It's not even like if I unfollow Meerkat here. He's talking about people that he went to, good point in the chat there, Tenshi. They went to hotels together, went to conventions together. They shared hotel rooms. They shared houses. This is not like that. This is not a random thing like, oh, fuck it, I don't like that video you just put out, so I'm out. It's not like that. So he just he had nothing to say for this one, so he just piles up the garbage and tries to make you forget about it, right? That was a great example of that for sure. So Project 7, let's get back to that. This was, you know, the web series, whatever, you saw it. Whatever, it's ended, right? It ended basically, and Phil went to Seattle. Before Phil went to Seattle, it ended, though. And the reason was that Respect the Pack, Phil says, they sent him an email saying, hey, we got a lot of stuff going in our life, we can't do it anymore. But then Rambo, at the last kind of dish effort, which I feel Phil's fans would want him to do, said, hey, if you can give them a little bit of money, maybe we can keep this thing going, right? Maybe we can make it going if you throw them a little bit of money. Phil says, clearly, no, they said they have other stuff going on. They don't want to do it anymore. So again, he also hammers home the point that they're not in this for the money. They didn't ask for money in the beginning, right? So we're going full circle here with another situation where someone didn't ask for money for Phil, so he thinks he doesn't have to give any money, right, at all. This was a little bit more gray area for me because if it would have been an extra gesture for Phil to do that. But if you have any care of a series continue, it seems natural to try it. But he said, no, I'm out, right? So that seemed a little, I don't know, it seemed a little weird to me. Any thoughts on that, like how it ended? Did you see that part?
I don't necessarily.
Go ahead first.
Right, I was just going to say, I don't necessarily think it was about like paying them to keep them on. I think it was just, look, these guys worked a lot for us over the last few months. At least give them something as they go. You know, so for me, it didn't come across as like, Rambo saying you should pay them, they might stick around. Although that's the way Phil took it and presented it. For me, it came across as like, these guys have worked for us for nothing for months. It's just sort of like give them something to say thanks as they go. Because everybody understands if you said, I've got a kid on the way. Fair enough. But if you're making money on this, just a couple of like to say thanks for all the help. I really enjoyed working with you. It just, it rewards them, it pays them, and it makes them feel like they were appreciated, and you don't come across as a cunt. But because he's like that about it, and no, they didn't want money, they didn't want to stick around. Why would I bother them when they've got a baby on the way? It just makes him look worse, and makes him look like he misunderstands the relationship again and how things function in relationships between people. So that's like the way I read it anyway. I didn't read it as a pay them to keep them on. I read it as a say thanks,
Yeah, in any case.
I do agree with you. Yeah. I think you're really right in that, and paying them for their effort that they already put it is just kind of common sense to us. But it seems like he completely failed to read the situation from the beginning, and how serious the project's gonna be, how long they have to spend editing those videos, how much money he wants to spend on props and nonsense like that, and all this bad planning resulted in a bunch of people working a lot of time without being financially rewarded in any way. And in the end, he completely missed the point that even if they talked about in the beginning they didn't want money, they didn't really realize how serious this project is going to be, how difficult it's going to take to edit all these videos and stuff. And he was the head of the project, and he failed to even realize what was happening and why people were upset. He completely missed the point on the whole thing.
Yeah, that's a recurring theme, isn't it? Missing the point.
Yeah, and he's so proud about. He makes us know like respect the pack, respect the pack. They did the most work. Sure, that's fair. Who did the second most work? Me. I do all the marketing, I do all the promoting, and we all know what that entails. That means in a pre-stream saying Project 7's coming up tomorrow. Hope you watch it. It's really cool. You're gonna laugh your ass off. That's the promotion. That's the hard work of marketing, right?
Yeah.
It'd be different if he said like, I have the biggest name, so I can market it. That's cool, but don't call that hard work, my friend. That's saying on your pre-stream and all the endless ramble you say, like the black currant and stuff. You also slip in the Project 7 plug. That's it. You know?
That really for me, tells a lot actually, because I really feel like that's his big contribution to the whole thing, so he really has to kind of drive that home that I was the promo man, because I had my suspicions that he really didn't have much to do with it outside of creating the series in the first place. When you watch like that prologue and then episode 1, I think, and then it changes into the more professional version, and from that point I feel like his role was severely limited. So I feel like again he's having to cling on to my role is this, and I mean, to be fair to him, it wouldn't have been as successful without him, but
definitely
it's definitely a group thing though. It's not all just because of him. And I think like the way that he sort of like latches onto them is because he can prove that. He can prove those videos were on his channel, that he bigged them up and all that, and that he would talk to people about it. He could say all that because the people who... I suppose I'm surprised that he didn't go that far, because the people who could say, actually, you didn't write this, or you didn't help with filming or directing or anything, aren't here to say anything back.
Yeah.
So he could have if he wanted. So I'm surprised he showed a bit of restraint there. Although I suppose the whole point of that was, I said I did something when I didn't. So it would probably be unwise to then say, yeah, that was bad, but also I did the directing and the photography and all that when, you obviously didn't. So,
yeah.
But I just wanted to like highlight a quick comment in chat that really made me laugh. It's just DSP should have given them each a signed Project 7 t-shirt.
That would have been good.
The payment, like,
yeah.
Well done.
And Phil made sure we knew he lost money on the show in total. He also was quick to ramble off these props he bought. I don't remember have the whole list here, but he was fast to say, I bought a $300 Borderlands gun or something. I bought stuff we didn't even use, so that seems pretty dumb, but if you want to say it, that's fine. I mean, if that's adding to your point in your mind, okay, but he was rambling off all kinds of artillery and stuff that we never use this, but that all adds to the money he spent again. So the stuff, his buy-in, his favorite word, his buy-in was all these items that made him list worse for me, because if you don't use a $300 gun, you just wasted $300. But
that is his buy-in, but in the end of the day, it's also his bad planning that resulted in him spending money for useless shit. If he planned the scenes and the script and when he's gonna need what, and maybe even rent those props instead of buying them straight up and not using them at all for the end of time, then it just, maybe it could have worked out if he put some planning into this.
Yeah. This is one of those
There
cases.
is a quote.
Go ahead, Steve.
Sorry, there is a quote that that I want to read out here, which is to do with this, and I took it down specifically because it's just fucking wild. Ross G says, "You outright say I wrote that scene, but now you're saying you didn't because I did not write the details of it. I wrote the concept. There's a concept versus actual detail. The concept I came up with. Let's have John be like John Rambo and do a montage of shit. And then John did it all, thought up all the ideas and all the little intricacies. I probably had input a little bit in it, but he made it come to life. The difference between saying I have an idea versus the person who actually makes the idea happen." And it's like, when you have an idea, you're supposed to be the one that does it. That's just you going, oh, I thought about something, and then they went and did all the work. Brilliant idea using my idea, guys. Thanks. I see my idea came out well.
Yeah.
If I suggested to Sam, hey Sam, like you should put a little thing at the end of your videos, and then he does, and I'm like, you see how great his whole video is? I wrote that.
Yeah,
That's my idea. That's me.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre to see things like that. That's not work.
Yep.
You know, that's like you going, mate, do you know it'd be great if you did this? And then you go and do it, and you put all the work in, and it looks good, and you're like, wow, I'm really proud of that. And then he goes, fucking great idea, me. It's so bizarre.
Yeah. Big respect to you for getting that quote. That's an awesome quote.
Yeah.
And something that pause. It's the bit where I tapped out and I'm like, I can't follow this live anymore. I need to stop and get all this.
And one of the things that I think is underrated, how funny it is that his brilliant idea is to take the guy who calls himself John Rambo and dress him up like John fucking Rambo from the movie John Rambo.
That's awesome. So
and
brilliant.
for him to act like John Rambo, what a brilliant fucking idea! That you should look for all the glory from this idea.
That was really good. You got to give him credit there. I mean, I would never thought of that.
Of course.
I never even considered that. That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, that's the real idea. Let's not lose sight of what the idea is. If you know what it is, it's even more ridiculous.
That's what he's picking up. That's his huge contribution to Project 7.
If it was some cool
That's
thing,
his genius idea.
Yeah.
Rambo, act like Rambo. Fucking amazing.
So I can see it clicking in his head, like, wait, your last name's Rambo. All right, hold on. Let me think about this. What if you act like
your
Rambo?
first name's John?
Yeah.
Has anybody ever said?
Yeah.
What about John Cena? What about we dress you up as John Cena? That's gonna make a lot of sense. Maybe for smart guys. With brilliant
Steve Austin. Have you ever thought about shaving your head and drinking beer?
So that's another example of Phil completely lying a video. He said that he wrote those parts. So just complete, utter lie that Phil admits to. So remember that. Also another case at the end of Project 7, no one got paid anything, and he says, no one asked me for money, so therefore they did not get any money. This is the second time that theme has come up in this thing yesterday, that no one asked for money, no one gets money. If they would have came to me, I would have given them money, right? So this is how Phil thinks that life works, is if you do something that, you're making money on, even if you didn't, it's still taking someone's labor in the hopes of making money. You don't have to pay them unless they ask for it. So I'm going to try that next time, I don't know, I get my room painted. I'm going to say, well, if you ask for money, I'll give it to you, but you didn't ask. I'm not paying. I mean, that's how Phil thinks. Business with friends, it's different if it was business with people you don't know. I mean, it's still fucked up, but it's even worse when it's your friends, right? That's even worse.
Yeah, it's much worse. Man, why are you sending me an eviction notice? You never asked me to pay my rent. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Why would I even want to do that?
You didn't even tell me. A man tells people when they want stuff. If you want to be a man about it. He made sure to say that man comment, Anyway.
He's got a business degree.
Yeah, we forgot about that.
He's got a business degree and he's never thought about the concept of a wage.
Apparently, he just needs people to send those invoices for him to do anything with Phil. So that's again, just reiterating. That's
he's
the
still
second
making
time.
money in the background as well. That's the
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
He's like,
yeah.
We lost money on Project 7.
Yeah.
But I'm still making money off YouTube and all the videos we've uploaded.
Yeah. And a real quick point on that, and I promise I will end it. Howard was saying, like, you know, we go to Howard's house, we go to Phil's house. You got the BMW out there. You got the figures all over the place, and it's ridiculous. And Phil claimed that was just the craziest thing ever to complain about because I was making money outside of Project 7. That doesn't count. It was outside of Project 7. So you don't think your friends don't still care about that? I mean, it's like if yes, that single aspect of the life didn't make any money, but if 99% of your other work does, and you're taking your friends' time to make something for you with the hopes of making money, it might seem natural to give them a little money, but a step too far.
Just emphasizes the fact that he does have money, so he can, you know, he's probably comfortable enough to pay his mates, you know.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Again, that's a crazy thing to complain about.
Yeah. Well, I was in a band and I was also working in a job. So like when I was in a band and we'd play gigs and you get paid like 50 quid or whatever's on the bar or whatever. But then like all your music equipment costs. So I was like quite fine to help the drummer pay for like new stands and sticks and things. But I never said, right, you owe me for that because you're not working. And I know that what we get from the gigs is like, what, 10 quid each when it's split between us all. So, but I never sort of like went, right, you owe me for this while keeping my job and the wage that I was making separate and bringing them around to my house and going, look, I've got the latest PlayStation and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And you just wouldn't. You'd be like, I'm making all this money. I bought my guitar and I bought my strings and all, and my new amp and everything's great. But you owe me because you never asked me to help you pay for the drum kit. You never wanted that. You never asked for the money that we were being paid as a band to help go to that. So it's just so bizarre that he separates them. And I knew he would. When he was going through that bit, I'm like, oh, fuck, I know where he's going. I know he's going to do it. And he said it. I was like, I fucking knew it. It's not the fact that they're separate, Phil. You are supposed to be the one who's like, right, well, I'll help. I'm the one with the most money in this venture. You are all ostensibly my friends. I will take that hit, you know. And he didn't. He was like, no, that's separate. That's not to do with you, that money. In fact, you owe me because I'm losing money here.
Yeah.
You lot.
And later in the video, he does bring that point up where Howard did get his Project 7 money, but this was Phil being the good Samaritan. He did fake calculations and decided how much he should give Rambo and gave it to Rambo because Rambo asked, right? The magical thing happened. Rambo had his car broke down and needed some money to get to Phil's house. So again, Phil realizes that he's going to lose Rambo if he doesn't give some money. Then magically the money appears. Here's your Project 7 money. At that point, so remember, he's paid one member of the team and has no inkling, or I don't know, maybe he does have an inkling, just doesn't do it, to pay, you know, Howard at that point. You just paid one employee that did the same work as the other employee, but that one doesn't get money because he didn't ask. But
that other employee's also giving you $300 to go towards t-shirts as well.
Yeah.
So he's also giving you money, and you're still not even going to give him that back before you're at like a £0 and pence given.
Yeah.
That you can then give him on top.
This was one of the leaps of logic I found in that thing that Phil thought that was a good thing, and he was so proud to say this. I gave Rambo money, but I didn't give anyone else money. That's not good, right? That's not like, oh, you're so great, Phil. You gave you gave Rambo his money, but that means what about Rambo? He didn't get anything, and he did the same amount as Rambo did. You didn't give any money to Howard, and he didn't say much as Rambo did. So that was a very bad moment that Phil thought was a good moment, and there was a lot of those, but that was a big one for me. Just crazy.
You see that a lot. You see Phil using the nobody said or nobody told me or, you know, they had to ask or something. Even when it's with other people in the PKA bit of the Wings restream, when they're all talking about, you know, like we tried to help Wings, we did this and then we did this, and he's like, why aren't they just saying to him? Why aren't they just going to him and saying to him? And it's like, how do you not understand how this works? Why does it have to be said? Why do you need it to be said when it's clear to everybody else how this is going? It's clear to everybody else why the PKA guys are acting like they are with Wings.
Yeah.
You don't need it laid out like that, like he demands. And it's the same here. He's like, well, they didn't ask me that they need, you know, to pay them. So how was I supposed to know that you're supposed to pay them for stuff?
Yeah.
It's that he needs it explained to him because he can't. Well, I don't know why. There's loads of reasons why. We could be here for hours. Basically, he has this real thing about you should tell me. You should tell me. Like it's not. You're not a child anymore. You're an adult. Time to grow up and start thinking like one.
Yeah. And I think I agree with you very much on this. And I also, if I had to explain common sense and, common sense adult behavior to somebody, I would feel pretty dumb, especially if that's my friend and I have to explain to him such basic things like that. I would feel uncomfortable that I think he's so stupid that I have to explain to him the most basic thing.
Yeah, yeah. And how good of Brenda... Go ahead.
I was just start thinking if they were like autistic in some way. Maybe if they're on the spectrum somewhere. If you're having to explain simple, basic human things like that to someone, you've got to start thinking, is there something wrong with you? Do you need to be assessed? Should you not have an adult with you?
And let's get real. That's
are you in DSP chat?
Yeah, that's the real quest, the real test. But really,
yeah, but you do.
Yeah, he brought up that a lot. Where remember, Rambo doesn't want to talk about money, but always does talk about money. Why he's talking about money is because he has to. Because if he doesn't talk about money, he doesn't get any money from you. That is why he's bringing up money.
About money.
Yeah, yeah. So it's money because I have to ask you for it at every single juncture of our friendship, right? That is why it's about money. It's because of that. And that's why Rambo, he managed to talk about money, and it doesn't sound like he's greedy or begging or anything, because every time he does it, there's a reason that he should get money in this juncture, right? And the whole video is like, I did this, Phil did this, I had to go to Phil and say, hey, shouldn't I get a few bucks, right? In the very beginning, when they started doing playthroughs together, Phil had to make the first move. Hey, shouldn't I get a few bucks? You're getting paid by Machinima now. Shouldn't I get a few bucks? Every step of the journey as friends together, when Phil is making money from Rambo, from Howard, they have to go to Phil to ask for money. And if they don't, they're assholes, right? That is the key takeaway. Project 7 t-shirts, it's a boring topic for me. Anything to say about Project 7 t-shirts? It was a long story that was very boring.
It's pretty boring for me too. I don't really care about it. My final stance is that when they got the t-shirts, everybody's should have been paid up accordingly, so they don't have to think about this shit again. And they didn't, and now they have to think about this shit again.
Yes.
I suppose the bit at the end really stuck out when he's like, why should Howard care what I did with the shirts? He said he was done with them. And it's like, when you listen to Howard's retelling of it, it's an exasperated, I'm done with it. It's not you can do whatever with them, I'm done with it. It's look, just give me the money, I'm fucking done with it. It's that. But he doesn't understand why Howard should then have right to be angry when he finds out that he's essentially selling him. He's like, I gave them away as a Patreon reward. It's like, but people paid you for them though. People had to pay a certain amount to get that reward.
Yep.
So you are selling them. Just because there's an extra step involved, or there's you'll be here next month involved, doesn't mean you aren't getting money for those shirts. And that's the thing. If he'd have given away for free, no one would have cared. If he'd have been doing his giveaways, here's an empty game case, here's a Project 7 t-shirt I've ruined with a marker. But he doesn't do that. He does it for money. Money is involved, as it often is with Phil. So Howard is rightfully upset at that, because it's like, the amount that I had to go through to get anything back off you, and you're doing that.
Yeah.
And he just can't understand it in any other way. He can't understand why Howard's upset. So that's stuck out to me at the end.
It's like this stream that he's, that he did yesterday. He says it's not monetized, but indirectly it's monetized, from a couple of different angles, so it's again, it's the same sort of thing. It's like, semantics. It's always the same. He's always got a little, crafty way of working around a particular
and
thing.
Quick to say that what they ended up agreeing on was very quick, because very boring story. Howard found a board in Phil's house, however he found it. It was broken. He got it fixed. And Phil said, can I get it back? Phil said he doesn't remember saying that, but if he did say it was a joke, again, I don't remember saying that, but if I did, it was a joke. So Howard's like, what the fuck? I got it fixed. You said I could have it. It's mine now. And then the very last day, before Phil went to Washington, he said, okay, call us even for the shirts. And like Steve said, that probably wasn't a very okay, Phil, call us even on the shirts. It was probably we're just even on the shirts then. You know what I mean? And that was very telling. And Phil made sure to say, that board costs more than $300 now. Okay, cool. Whatever. Again, downplaying, it really took a good big moment here to downplay the friendship with Howard. Again, really But at that same breath, he admits to guilt-tripping Howard into coming to his last goodbye party in Connecticut. So again, this is not his friend, not close at all, not a real friend, just a Street Fighter friend, all the words he uses. But he was so wanted Howard there that he guilt-tripped him into coming after, like he said, like Howard usually backs out of stuff at the minute or something. And what are the words he used? If you don't come, you're saying our friendship is over, or something like that. Not exactly. I can't remember the exact timeline. But if you don't come to this, it solidifies the fact that we don't have a friendship. Phil said those exact words, and Phil admitted it.
I think it was
like that,
you don't cherish our friendship, something like that.
Yeah,
I think cherish was the word that was used on when DSP was explaining it yesterday.
Yeah. So, I mean, think about that. Someone that's not your friend, this doesn't add up, right? If someone's not your friend, they're a Street Fighter friend, you don't really care about them, why do you feel the need to guilt trip them into coming unless you want to finish your playthrough, right? What other reason is there?
Because he's an asshole.
Howard wasn't a friend. Yeah, it's true. But Howard wasn't a friend. He just had a Street Fighter cabinet, so they went around there a lot.
Yeah.
They hung out a lot. They went to conventions together. He was in some films and some stuff that we shot together. We worked together a lot, but he wasn't a friend.
Yeah.
So, again, with Phil, it's the semantics thing, which he's a fan of because it helps him worm out of a lot. And here again, Howard is a friend until I don't need him to be a friend. He's not a friend like at the start and later on at the end where it's like, Howard, this is none of your business. But when you're hanging out with him and it's really important that he comes to your last do, he's a friend. So it's DSP's just shifting way of presenting relationships. Obviously, the way he perceives them is you give me something great, and he was getting respect the pact from Howard. Through Howard that he got them. So Howard served a purpose. Mm-hmm. But if I need the audience to believe that this guy was my friend and him not being there really hurt because I'm trying to, really stick the knife in, I'll portray him that way. Because that benefits me. So, again, it's a self-centered thing with Phil. It's always, how do I look best? How do I present myself? And again, this isn't a reaction. He's planned this out.
Yeah.
He thinks this makes him look good. So.
Yeah, remember that throughout all this. This is Phil's planned, written down reactions that he thought would make him look better. But he hammers home the point. Howard's not my friend. Rambo is my friend. Rambo's my real friend. Howard's not my real friend. And then an hour, well, how many fucking hours later it was, 6 hours after he started, he's saying, I guilt trip. Yes, I did guilt trip him into coming because he needs to be there. So why does he need to be there if you don't like him, man? Why does he need to be there? But there you go. Next topic. We're almost to the waterworks here. We're almost there, my friends. We're almost to the waterworks. One last point I want to bring up before we get there. A very serious topic. Mario Party story. Okay, so I only bring this up because this is another case of Phil 1,000,000% making a whole video directed at you, the viewer, that is 100% lies, and he admits to that too as well. He says Leanna wanted to play a playthrough with him, a Mario Party, and the fans were asking for them to play together, Rambo and Phil to play it together. But Leanna asked, so Phil thought the best way to get out of the situation is to completely and utterly make stuff up, right? So Phil likes to use the man word. What kind of man is that, right? If your girlfriend wants to do a playthrough with you, awesome. But it's so simple to say, I'm not playing this with Rambo, I'm playing it with Leanna. Is that what? Is that difficult? I mean, I don't think so. But Phil had to get the shield up for those nasty tractors coming in, right? I mean, that's the only reason he did this, was so they don't get pissed that Howard didn't do it because Howard didn't want to do it. So, any thoughts on that as Steve has magically become Meerkat in the video?
Hold on, I have to turn off my camera for a second.
Okay, he's back.
I died of overthinking DSP shit. I'm back. I just had to turn on the light.
All right, so Sam, I'll let you handle this one first. What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't have too much to say. I'm sure you two do, but I'll just say, if he's lying about something as small as that, then what else is he lying about?
Yes. Right.
That's definitely a situation where he felt, I have enough control that I can, more or less manipulate everybody. I can have the best of both worlds here, because the audience are going to believe what I tell him, and then I'll tell John something and he'll believe that. And it's like, I just don't understand why you wouldn't have both of them. Like John says, he's met Liana, he gets on with Liana, he thinks she's fine. Mario Party's like 4-player. Have John and Howard over. Have Liana play. All of yous play. You did it for like Resident Evil and that. It was, Raccoon City or something like that. You can do it. So why not just do it like that?
Yeah.
But why do you have to like make this lie? And it's like it's an element of control again. When you've got those people in, everybody's coming to watch because those 3 people are in. Everybody likes John, and that comment did get to him. That comment really cut him deep. Phil saw all that stuff about how people like John more than him, and it got to him. So that's why he's like, "Nah, me and Panda, it'll be fine."
Yep. Meerkat, anything to add there before we move on?
I think Steve basically said everything that I have to say about this, and this is a pretty much a Phil thing to do. It just blatantly lie about some bullshit that somebody else can prove that it's a lie. Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you, and Kat agrees with me. So that's it, I guess.
What else do you need right there? So this is
not crying down.
Those keeping score at home. This is the 3rd time that Rambo came to Phil with a problem, and Phil apologized to him. This is also the 3rd time so far that Phil has 100% lied. And remember, this whole Rambo and Howard video was created because Phil said, if you're a man, you bring problems to a person. This is now the 3rd time that is in recorded history that Howard did just that. Rambo did just that. And Phil still felt making that video, calling him not a man because he didn't bring his problems right to him, was a good idea. Okay? Just keep that in mind, guys. We're on 3 now. 3 complete, utter live videos. 3 times Howard came to Phil with a problem, and there we are. Okay? That's just, have to get that out there. So now we're going to get to Scott's death, right? Scott was a member of the fighting game community. He died. We're at this time, at the part of the timeline where Phil's already in Washington. Communication between Howard and Phil, between Rambo and Phil is kind of dwindling. He said he didn't talk to Howard for a year or so. Howard was still talking a little bit. Merry Christmas, Happy Thanksgiving, all that stuff. But Scott died, and I keep fucking forgetting their names. Howard sent a text to Phil. It said, "Hey, Scott died." That was it. Okay, that's the end of the text. Phil then made a video about it. Again, it was monetized because all of his stuff was monetized about it, and did not respond to Howard. Now, Howard really that was a pain point for Howard for sure. That he did not say that. Now, how does Phil cover that up? He was still pissed at Howard because of how they ended in Connecticut, right? With the T-shirt nonsense, I think. That was why they were still pissed at him. He was endlessly pissed at Howard since that point. So he didn't feel the need to respond. Other people told him about this death. So he felt it was good to give a tribute to Scott there. Then, while you don't have time to kind of mentally calculate that, he brings up T, right? T is another fighting game community member that Phil did a tribute for earlier, right? And then and I don't want to, lighten up someone's death and how that affects people, because that affects people in all different ways. And I'm in the camp of Phil was really feeling upset there. However, Phil did time this in a very, very convenient way, right? We're talking about Scott's death and why you put a video out there. And then he brings up this T thing, and then the waterworks come in, and we're kind of like, mentally, your audience is like, whoa, what about the Scott thing? Okay, T died. I did a tribute for T. He was haunted by T's death. Waterworks happened. That's what made him depressed. That's the fault. He feels at fault for that for some reason. I don't know. We've got a lot to say here, so I'll throw it out to you guys. What do you guys feel about this segment of Phil crying about because he thought it was a good thing to give a tribute, and he just didn't write back to Howard, and that was Howard's problem?
I would like to think what Steve thinks about this.
Yeah. What do you think about what happened there?
Well, like the act of sort of veering from Scott to T is obviously his way of distracting from the issue, because then the audience is presented with an image of Phil that's incredibly emotional and dealing with something that's really hard and talking about how much it haunted him. And that's a good way of getting your audience to forget that, well, actually the issue is that you monetized somebody's death and you've not addressed that. It's a good way to sort of like circle around the issue without actually addressing it fully. and it paints him in a sympathetic light. And this is the point where, because again, I kept reminding myself, this is not a realistic reaction. This is Phil, acting. He's chosen to act certain ways throughout. And then there was a bit partway through where I thought his voice did sound like it actually cracked. And I did start to wonder, because there is a difference. There is a difference between sort of like writing down, okay, I'll talk about when Scott and T died here, and then actually coming to do it. And I do sort of like feel that might have been a bit genuine, especially when he's talking about, I've never dealt with death before. I've never dealt with loss before.
Yeah.
And I sort of felt that because he probably hasn't. That was probably his first experience. And, hopefully with most people, their first experiences of death happen when they're adults, but not everybody has that luxury. And some people experience death in the family earlier. So it might have been for him that was his first real experience of it. And he didn't know quite how to process it. But that's the sort of thing that you would grapple with throughout your life during periods of introspection. And if he's incapable of that, he's not going to be able to deal with it until he sort of like sat down in a room on his own thinking and really being forced to confront it. And that's never happened until this point. So I thought maybe there is a sort of like an air of genuine like struggling at the difficulty. Because I know it is. I brought up my cousin on an earlier video, and it was really difficult to get through that bit. And I would imagine for like War Dog Leader talking about his brother, that was really difficult. But then he said the line. I thought, I'm fucking done with you. This is not you sort of like dealing with and facing for the first time in possibly decades a powerful and painful loss. This is you losing something that you had, and I sort of like a claim of ownership of, because he said, you're not Scott's friend. Scott was my friend. And in that moment, to me, Scott became the first edition Wolverine run. It's like that. It's that value. It's that this thing has value to me because it is mine. And if you take it from me, you reduce that value. You reduce that meaning, and you're taking it from me. You are claiming it as your own when it should be mine. And I think that's why he was really hostile towards Howard at that moment. He didn't really understand what Howard was actually saying in that point either, because again, you're distracting your audience. You don't want them to consider that. You want them to consider this. And this impression of Howard as taking something that has value to Phil and means so much to Phil is like, Howard, you bastard. But when you see the actual context and what was actually going on, you think, Phil, you bastard. So yeah, it's a really good way of getting around to that point. But it's like, seriously, I could talk about this bit for hours. Look forward to that, everybody.
Yeah,
because it showed so much about like how he sees things, and there was a point where he said, this guy meant so much to me, and I thought, oh fuck, he's gonna say like I saw him on the last day, and he said, hey Phil, you keep up the good work, don't let anybody get you down, and then 2 hours later but he saw him on the last day, and I thought that's immediately sus, because that's such a typical thing. It's a Lifetime movie thing, and the way he sort of like explained the last day, and then the way he sort of like explained how much it haunted him to the point where as he was leaving Connecticut, he couldn't even get out of the car to go and visit the grave because it devastated him so much. And when you watch his leaving Connecticut vlog, he's talking about the restaurants that he's going to visit later with his parents and what they're going to do. And him and Leanna are driving to Sonic. And then the day after, when they're in Washington for the first time, they're just walking around the house and going, oh, look, we got new blinds and we got this bit here and all that. No air of, I am so distraught about this thing that I have to do. And if it means that much to you, it's going to be weighing on you all day until you go and do it. Everybody knows the day of a funeral, when you wake up, you are not thinking, I'll vlog my journey to Sonic. You are thinking, I've got a fucking funeral to attend later. And it stays with you. And he does not come across as the sort of man who is carrying that. And you could argue that, he's a character at that point and he's being filmed, and it could be later on in the day and that. But it's like, but he still chose to do that. In that mindset, he still chose to portray this thing. So that doesn't jar with me, because in that mindset, I would not be thinking I'll vlog this later and upload it to my channel. I just wouldn't. It wouldn't be on my mind, especially if I'm about to move across the country as well. It's just thing on top of thing on top of thing that would hold you out. And he doesn't display that at the time. So I'm immediately doubting everything he's saying. And you never want to, as like a psychologist and as a person, you never want to question anyone in a time of grief. But fuck, he forces you to do it. He forces you to do it, to look at his acting and say that's fake.
You know, he makes you do it. He wants you to believe it's legitimate, but it's not. It's really like there are many ways to sort of like fake crying, but you can't really control tears. So if you have to stop and force a tear, you're working on it. Tears will come. If you're upset, tears will come, and you do not have to pause or think about anything to make them happen. They will just come because you're talking about something difficult. And he's like, at first he wiped a bottle across his head as well. I thought, is he hot there? Because it looked like he was doing it to cool down. And then he got the tissue and he started dabbing around there. And then he started probably, you know, and there were breaks in it as well. He kept pausing and thinking. And I thought about it, you guys. I thought long and hard about this. And it's really difficult for me.
Yeah.
Because he meant a lot. And so it's really easy to put on that. And when you're in them pauses, you're trying to force the tears. But when you're talking about actual trauma naturally and properly with people, it's very, very different. There's none of that. You cry, you shudder, your body shakes as you try to fight things back, and you have to take deep breaths. You have to take rapid breaths because you're trying not to sob. You're trying to talk instead of sob, and your voice gradually breaks. It can sometimes break suddenly, but most of the time there's a decay as you're fighting back everything.
Yep.
So I don't buy it. I don't like saying that because I like to think that I'm empathetic enough that I would understand that when somebody's upset, they're upset. But his display didn't come across as genuine to me. There's a brief part in the middle where I thought maybe this is the first time we've talked about something this serious. But from then on, and then when he said that line and I was like, I'm out. That's the point where I stopped when he said, you know, Scott wasn't your friend, he was my friend. That's the point where I was out. So whatever's after this point now is new to me. So I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, that was my read of that. It just wasn't trustworthy at all. I didn't buy it.
Yep. All right, I want to hear what you think, Sam. What is this a moment?
I think Steve's pretty much covered everything there. I'm looking forward to the several hour breakdown.
Yeah, that's a future video. Go sub to Steve. Link down below.
I want to believe him. I want to believe it was at least partially genuine. But also knowing what we know about Phil, it's kind of, you know, it's easy to see it as not. But one thing I do want to ask, actually, I don't know if this has been thought about, but there was a poll, was it the Outsider or someone did on Twitter about whether he would cry or not.
I did that one. That was me.
Was that you?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
And I just wondered what everyone thought would be the moment. Is this that, or because you know, I didn't really have a, you know, it could have, for me it could have happened at any point. And I guess I never really considered that this might be one of them. I don't know. What does everyone else think? You know, was it obviously this bit, or was it, you know? I'm just interested to know what you guys think.
Like you said, Sam, I think I would really like to believe that he's genuine, because this is a really serious and dark topic to talk about, and friends passing away, stuff like that. It's really hard to get over. I would like to believe him, but he's seen that video plenty of times before. Did he cry every time? Was this the outlier that got to him more than the other times he watched that video? Because, like, come on, this looked a little bit like blurring the lines between reality and reality TV. It was a little bit too hammy. And it made me kind of question if he was genuine or not. But I would like to believe him. I wouldn't like to think that he really is this much of an asshole. But he did kind of make it all about his suffering that somebody else died. And he said this little anecdote about them doing something, then feeling guilty for T passing away because of some, like, contrived explanation. So yeah, I'm kind of split on this.
Yep.
Yeah. That's probably Steve has something to say about this, because this is also a cool moment when he was like, yeah, I could have saved T because that day we could have hung out and he wouldn't be dead. Which, of course, it's a thing that people do. They blame themselves for, you know, in hindsight, something bad happening to somebody else that they could prevent. But it's DSP right here. I think it's just him trying to make it about his own suffering and that he is a victim of this thing that happened to him, as he usually does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that bit actually got to me quite a lot. Not like emotionally, but it made me angry because, like with my cousin, my aunt and my uncle have spent years thinking, what about if I went upstairs to check on him? What about if I went to make sure that, you know, my cousin was okay? They've got years of that. And the impact that that has on a person is phenomenal. And I don't necessarily think he's carried it to the same extent. You might probably think about it, because you all do. We all do think, I could have done something differently when somebody has died. It's a natural response. You're trying to make sense of a situation that's just suddenly upheaved your entire world. So it's a natural response. But it just, again, it seems so Hallmark movie. It seems like Lifetime movie of the week. It's almost a trope. You know, it's almost like what you would expect in a bad film, to be like, I could have saved him. I was there on the last day. I talked to him. Why didn't I offer him that lift? You know,
Yeah.
And so, again, I'm not buying it. I think that sort of thinking causes so many problems for somebody mentally. It causes a lot of grief and a lot of trauma and a lot of pain, and you have to process it a lot to deal with it. And it takes years, and I don't think he's ever shown any sign of that. Certainly not in the immediate, you know, aftermath videos and in the videos of him leaving Connecticut. Supposedly the last time he would be able to see this grave,
Yeah.
and all that. And he just never carries it at all. Maybe he is keeping that bit private, but from what we know of him, it shared everything at the time.
Yeah.
So I don't buy it. I feel like if it was an emotion that Phil was going through, he would have shared it at the time, and he didn't. So,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
just to add my take on this, I'm definitely in the minority. I think it was real, but in the kind of Phil way of not being mature, right? So, because he did make sure we knew, that's my friend, that's my thing. And when you're not mature and someone takes your thing, it's tough, right? So I'm not even sure that, I think he was crying, but not because like of course he was sad because his friend is gone, but like, my friend is gone, and it's taken from me the position I thought I had with him, right? And as someone that might be immature in that kind of way, that could be pretty tough, right? Like in my head, I'm better friends with him, and that was really fucked up thing of you can't. It's not up to you to decide what other friends are when you're not. You know, like it's not up to me to say I'm better friends with Sam than Steve is. It's not. It's fucked up to judge that, especially when someone dies, right? Because you're going through these raw emotions, and of course, you know, you remember the good times. You say like, man, we were really good friends, you know, and sometimes that's true, and sometimes it's not that true. But especially at that time, it's not up for you, or even now, it's not up for you to say what kind of friends other people were with other people, right? And that showed a sense of immaturity for me that I kind of thought maybe he's so immature that he was that sad because something got taken from him, not just his friend's life, but his real hardcore friend that he thought he had, right? And that's what I thought I'd take on that. I mean, I know I was like, I was watching like, Phil, why is the water bottle going above your eyes? Why is this happening? Like, you know, just it's like he wanted to plant the idea so we talk about it, you know, like, oh, why are you doing this? But my official stance is I think he was sad, but I think it's not because of what he said of being haunted and all this stuff, but it was because, hey, his friend he held this relationship in his hand, got kind of taken because all of a sudden Howard saying, we were the same, we're equal, you know, all our friends from back Connecticut, we were also the same friends as me. And Phil thinks it's not the case, right? And Phil also opened up about never feeling out of place, never having some friends, but then the arcade was a place that he could really be himself, and that was a place where he played with T, played with Scott too. So that was definitely a big moment of the show for sure. And everyone has different ideas, what's going on here, what wasn't going on. But it really, at the end there's another telling thing when he kind of snapped to and went on the rampage. He said, that was really hurtful what they did. This was really the bad point. This is what led to him saying, I never want to talk to Phil again. Never want to talk to Howard again. And was surprised that Rambo was a part of this, right? And that was really a point that Phil, this point broke Phil probably. I mean, this is the point that broke Phil, right? And this is why he, just stopped wanting to have contact, was because of this moment, right? So just remember that. At the end, he says, Howard, you're just like he's going to say something really bad about Howard, but doesn't make it happen. I wish he finished that sentence, but he did not.
Yeah, I was gonna say a hateful slur.
Yes. I was coming
for that.
I was waiting for it to come out, but it didn't. But anyways,
Howard, you big nosed fucking freak.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was
thinking
it.
of Dead Space 2 now.
No, don't do it. Don't say any words. Don't say any words involved.
Before we started, I was like, you know, when I appear, should I be like this? And then go, oh, the camera.
Yeah.
People might actually think I am, so it wasn't worth the risk.
All right. So, yeah. We're going to talk about one more thing. A few more things, actually. We're not pretty close to done here. But one more thing I do want to hit on is the video from Phil on Thanksgiving Day ended with, I'm going to call Howard. I'm going to call, God, I keep fucking the names up. I'm going to call Rambo. That's what he ended the Thanksgiving Day bashing video with. I'm going to call Rambo and figure this out. But then he goes in this diatribe of how he can't do it because his schedule, right? His schedule is so tough that he can't make a phone call to a desperate, real, not just Street Fighter, real friend that he's, went on road trips, conventions. He can't do that. He's got a schedule. What a crazy idea to call a friend. Come on, get out of here with that nonsense. That was the argument. That was what he came up with.
But then look at like all the ways he does try to reach out. They know where I am. I've tried to reach out like this. I tried to help them like that. And it's like, you can. You set your own schedule. That's why I can never buy that as a defense. You set your own schedule. If you work if you worked in another job where your shifts were inflexible, that's fine. I get that. You might finish at like 10 or 11 or 12. It might be dead late, and so you don't. But he sets his own. Everything that he does, he chooses to do. So you can. You can stop a stream to DM Keemstar, but you can't message a real true friend to sort out a problem that's really hurting you in the couple of hours between your first and second stream. It's
Well, remember, he said he
was
said he was texting. He couldn't call. That was the problem because Rambo doesn't like text. Go ahead, Sam. I just got to get Steve mad.
I was just gonna say, like, even if all of his work time, takes up too much of his time, which I don't know where I'm going with this. I was just gonna say, basically, even if he can set his own schedule, the schedule he's set leaves him enough time to do plenty
hours. He streams for 6 hours a day.
It's brain numbing to because how frustrating. I'm sure you guys know how frustrating it is. You're at work for you do a 9 to 5, say, and you're thinking about what you could be doing with your time. And I'm sorry, I certainly get that. And he doesn't have that, and it's just so you've got all the time in the world
and a day off.
Yeah,
I don't know who he's trying to fool with this.
Yeah,
I don't know who he's trying to fool with this, because you guys got kids, and you guys know that you can work a job and take care of kids and be an adult and also have free time. So who are you trying to tell this bullshit to? Who are you trying to sell this story that you're so busy you can't make a phone call, send an email, voice message, whatever, some nonsense?
Yeah. My take is he had no way out of this one, so this was the best he could come up with. There's no other way to say it, right? What excuse? Let's pretend we have to make a lie up, guys. Hey, we're gonna call a piece of peace. We're gonna call piece of peace tomorrow, but we can't do it. So what's our excuse gonna be? We have a year, by the way. There's a year time period we have to make one single phone call. How could we make up that we can't make that phone call? I don't know. We're busy. What else? Where do you go? Where do you go from there? He couldn't just say he didn't do it, right? That again, Phil can never do that. He couldn't just say I didn't call him. I should have called him, but I didn't. But he said he was too busy. That was one of the most shocking excuses I heard the whole day.
Yeah, and this is one of the trends with him, that this is what a reaction like this spawns an entire plot line. Now it's the plot line that he didn't call Rambo. Instead of just saying, like you said, just say, well, I didn't fucking call him, that's it. And that's it. That's where it ends. He creates the storyline. Phil didn't call Rambo. It's like in wrestling. It's exactly like they do in fucking wrestling.
Yep.
Somebody's saying in the chat, this is before he deleted everything. The time frame here is 2014 to 2015. So that means he's in his early 30s.
Yeah.
He's in his early 30s and he's acting like this. It's so unreal. You normally wouldn't be like this. You would normally have better social skills because you go out and socialize. But he's stopped at this point. This is where he's really becoming a hermit. He's stopped going to conventions and tournaments, and he's staying in more. And he's got Liana, and he's got his place, so he's settling in now. That's it. He's settled. He's comfortable. He's got his bubble, and he's fine. And now he's just going to sit for the rest of his life. So that's that period. And when we're dealing with issues like this, where he's like, you know, I've not talked to Howard, but they've also not talked to me.
Yeah.
You're in your mid-30s, and again, you're putting the responsibility for it all on them. You're saying, like, I'm here 6 days a week. They have my email address. They know I'm on Twitter. They can contact me. It puts the responsibility on them. Again, even if you are at fault, it puts it on them. So you don't have to accept responsibility because, like, well, why didn't they call me? Yeah, I didn't call them, but why didn't they call me? It works two ways. So it's a really good defense for Phil. It's really easy to sort of like whip out and go, there you go. They also did bad.
Yep.
So,
and it's just that was pretty shocking. And also remember, this came after the video where that was the there was one video back then that time before the Thanksgiving Day massacre video where he ended the friendship. He said, "Hey, I'm gonna tell." This is what he did. It's like, okay, hold on a second. People are asking about Rambo. They want to know what Rambo is. Hold on, I'm gonna tell you. Let me get my phone out. All right, this is what Rambo said, and reads the exact email. Right, he reads the email. This was a big pain point for Rambo, reading out the exact email he sent to Phil, which anyone would be kind of pissed about, right? I mean, some people might not care, but if it's not really cool if you just read read emails out for people on thousands of people on the internet, right? And this excuse for this one was very classic. He said, "I did that to make Rambo call me."
What?
Yeah, that was part to bait Rambo into having to contact me. Is I did that, right? And he didn't apologize.
He thought about this.
Yeah. This was one of the biggest. Yeah.
Well.
This was.
He thought about this and decided, yeah, this is the argument that I'm going to present to the people watching.
Yes.
This is what will make me look good.
Yes. And he blanketed it in. He shouldn't do.
Me to keep watching.
Yeah. He blanketed it in the facade of I shouldn't have done this. I wish I didn't do it. But he said I didn't know how to do it. I just thought it was over. So and I thought Rambo was gonna call me. So yeah. He kind of read the email to kind of force Rambo's hand, right, in hopes that he would call him.
It is mid-30s.
Yes.
It is like early to mid-30s as well.
Yes.
Yep.
And this comes from the person that said, if you don't contact the person when you have issues, you're not a man. I'm intentionally weaving that through this whole podcast, that line, because I want everyone in the chat to remember that. Remember, if you're a man, I wouldn't use that word, but that's what Phil used. You contact someone when you have an issue. We have so many examples now of Rambo doing that exact thing, and just remember that. And also remember, and Rambo kind of interestingly made fun of I'm the realest person on the internet. I have nothing to hide. And he just goes through hiding everything. But the best excuse he'd come up with was, I was really busy, so I couldn't call him. And that's it. And then remember that Howard's and Rambo's video ended with, I'm still waiting for the call. So Phil, I'm waiting for the call. I'll always open for the call, right? Rambo and Howard ended their video like that. But Phil's reaction to this was, I don't have their contact information. I deleted it all. So that's how he's going to end this, I guess.
Today I had this thought about exactly when we talk about interactions like this, like John Rambo is his ex-girlfriend and DSP is just really salty. It reminds me of Drake in Hotline Bling, which is basically that kind of shit. Remember that song? You used to call me on my cell phone late night when you need my love. And that whole song, the thematic of it was about the salty ex-girlfriend, salty ex-boyfriend who just couldn't let it go and who was just still held a grudge. So today I was smoking a fat one, and it came up to me. So I decided to share this infinite knowledge and this shit post with everybody.
There we go.
So yeah.
So one other revelation definitely worth talking about is we have confirmed something we all knew long ago. The Jin tweets were definitely a part of Phil's repertoire, and now they are in the form of Jin messages towards Rambo and Howard. This came off very strangely, and how Phil explained it was even stranger. I guess he kind of threw it off to being depressed. He said he would sit in bed and watch their old content, thinking about the good times. So that's, I mean, I'm not, think what you will about that. That's a really all to people you can still call, right? But he couldn't make the call, but he could drink enough gin to make you tweet them. Steve, I'll let you go first. This was really something.
Right, you're gonna have to give me a minute to process this. Right. So why would you let's think? Why would you do that? You would do that when you are not feeling like doing it most of the time. You are reluctant to do it, so you need to get drunk to do it.
Yeah.
But again, you are not willing to sort of like take the acceptance and the responsibility of it. You have to keep putting it on them. You have to keep sending to them to say, text me, message me. You have to bother them. When the reality is like it's you that's supposed to come forward with the I'm sorry, let's talk about this. But instead you do the ex-girlfriend thing of I miss you, come back. And they're probably seeing that and thinking, no, I'm not buying this. Because they know what's going to happen. They're going to accept, and so Phil's always like, "Oh, I'm really sorry, you guys. Here's your money. You're right. You should. If only you'd have said, I'm sorry. It's all a big misunderstanding in person." And then they know that once they're past that point, it's going to be right. When can you come around for co-op? When can we make some stuff again? And it's all going to start again. So they're seeing all that, and they know, and they're not seeing any sort of like genuine attempt to reach out and connect and say, "I've moved. I accept now. I can understand what I did, and I'm sorry, and I would like to fix things." Instead, what you're getting is drunk X at 2 a.m. And it's just, again, how he can think that this makes him look good is beyond me. You really have to be starved of any sort of social interaction. Even his wife sort of like would have seen him watching it and taking notes. Even his wife didn't say, "This is not a good idea. Don't do this." And he probably went, "But I've got I've got the members now. It's a members goal. I have to do it."
Yeah.
But you don't. This doesn't make you look good. Your behavior back then was not good. And unless you were about to come out and explain to everybody, this was bad, and I can accept that, and show that you can accept it. But that's the thing that takes time. You can't just say, "I accept it and let's move on." You need to show it through your behavior. And your behavior so far has not suggested that, because your behavior so far has led you to the point where you're showing us all that, and thinking this is a defense that will make me look good and sympathetic. So
real quick,
it's really bad.
I want to bring up the point. Good, Sissy Mac, excellent comment. This is during that time period where he's too busy to call, right, guys? You forgot he's too busy to call.
Yeah.
But he can have 4 a.m. text sessions, right? It's too late to call Rambo, but I'm staying up till 4 a.m. So, if you went to bed at midnight, you could probably wake up at 9 a.m., give Rambo a call. It's not that crazy. Is 9 hours not enough sleep? I don't know. But Sam, go ahead.
No, it's been covered, exactly. That's a really good point as well. It just goes to show he can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, and I just don't buy it. It's that a lot of what I put out on the internet has that thought in mind, that sort of frustration that this is a guy that has all the time in the world but acts like he doesn't, and it's just frustrating.
Meerkat?
There was this I think it was a Tevin quote or something that I remember when we're talking about scheduling stuff. Somebody once had asked DSP when he was single, "DSP, why don't you go and date girls, after streaming at late at night and stuff like that?" And the dude said, "That's because girls are sleeping at night, you fucking idiot."
Yeah, but it's who they're sleeping with. That's the point.
Yeah. So this kind of makes sense to me why he didn't call him, but he could send him drunk texts. It's very bizarre. It's a DSP thing. He's immature. He's a man baby. Yeah. And it's a thing that you should exactly expect from him.
Yeah. This is what I'm going to be honest. This is when I felt this person is not equipped for the life they have now, or the life with social life they have, right? I really did. You could feel that Wolverine picture, right? I mean, that was it, and it came out strong. This was the most compelling part for me. Yeah, he's just in that. We all can say, and Phil is great to make fun of. It's fun to make fun of Phil, but at this point, if you shed that all away, right? He really, really valued his friendship with John Rambo, and that was something he really treasured. And it's all his fault. It's fucked up, but nonetheless, the friendship is fucked up. And Phil admitted that's why he drank too much. He sent those texts that you send ex-girlfriends or ex-boyfriends, please come back. What's going on? Or that part was kind of sad, right? Because it's all he's doing for sure. But it was a moment where you could tell he was hurting, and John Rambo was a friend, and he knows. I hope he knows in his mind. Maybe he doesn't, but it is because of him. It's all because of himself that this is the situation. It is not anyone else's fault. Remember, we started the video. It's 100% on their side. If there's any problems, it's on them. We all know, hopefully through this hour and 50 minutes, how that is the opposite of the truth, right? Every one of these instances has because of how Phil handled the situation. And it all came back to him. And he had to look at it during this event, this great non-monetized event that he made a few $100s on, I'm sure. Let's get to the wrap-up, though. The big ending here, before we can talk about other stuff here. They're just bullet points here. For Phil, the biggest ill they did was publicizing, was talking about, hey, Phil, you publicized Scott's death. That was the biggest thing. That's why he doesn't want to be friends with Howard anymore. And that's why he deleted all their conversations. He deleted all the drunk texts. We'll never see those. All the contact information. He can't talk to them anymore because he didn't want to make that mistake again, guys. That's why he deleted everything. I'm sure it wasn't because he was scared of it coming out. Didn't have anything to do with it. Again, at the end, he says, everything is Howard's fault. Right? Howard didn't bring anything to me, right? Remember in the beginning, he said, no one brought up anything to me. At the ending, he says, Howard didn't bring up anything to me. Okay, well, that's fair enough, but that's not what you said earlier, right? The end, he says, here, Howard's horrible. I never want to talk to Howard again, blah, blah, blah. He did end with a kind of pained, I love Rambo. He did say those words, I love Rambo, I loved Rambo. But he said, what good could come of talking to him again? He didn't want to talk to him. We changed people again here. What a power through. He also said an interesting statement. Steve, what your take on this? What do you think if this is a true statement or what he's thinking here? I don't want any more friendships because the negativity from me always rubs off. I feel like I'm poisoned. That is why I don't have any other friends outside of my wife. He did say those words. He did say, I don't have any other friends outside of my wife. I live my life this way because I don't want my negativity to rub off on you. Open question there. What do you think about that statement and what it means for Phil now?
I saw that last night on Mr. E's Twitter, and my response to it was, it's because of you that you don't have friends, or you can't have friends. That's the point. Like, for however bad you may think the friendships with John and Howard ended, you are still the connecting dot. You are still the cause. And it's at the point now where the only friend you have is your wife. It's on you. There's nobody else that you can blame. She wasn't there at the time. She's got nothing to do with it. So you can write her out entirely.
Yep.
The responsibility for this falls on John, Howard, and you. And they're not here either. You can't sort of like say it's their fault, but he does. He blames Howard. He blames Howard again and again and again for poisoning the well.
Mm-hmm. The classic.
Oh, hey, Sam. Yeah. So he blames Howard for poisoning the well, and how it was John was his friend. And again, it's a possessive thing. It's this is my thing. Just like with T before, this was my friend. You took this from me. This thing meant a lot from me, and you've taken it and you've poisoned it and turned it against me. And he talks a lot about that throughout as well. He references like John was fine with it, but Howard has the problem.
Yep.
Throughout, there's multiple points where he refers to that. And there's a brief comment in the chat that I want to quickly address, which was, do I think that Phil's gay secretly and Howard is John's is one true love? And it's like, no, but I do think that John was the closest thing he had to like an actual friendship. It was his first proper friend. He had shit through high school. He was, he talks about being bullied and not being popular, and he talks about wanting to fit in, and that's why the Street Fighter community was so important to him. So you can see, like, this is the closest thing you've had to a friend. This is your proper friend. And it can hurt losing a friend. It doesn't necessarily mean that, I love them as a friend is not the same as I love them as an intimate partner. So losing a proper close friend hurts, especially when it's something that's been, like, toxified to this extent. It's been poisoned like this, like Phil keeps saying. But it's not Howard that poisoned it, and he can't see that. It's him that poisoned it, and he still can't take the step back because he externalizes everything. His locus of control is not internal, it's external. And you see that a lot with vulnerable narcissists. They have to justify things by finding either fault or responsibility externally. So, you know, bad things happen to me because somebody else did something. So that's why he'll never get that step, because he needs to take a step back and look at him, and he can't. He's incapable of properly assessing it. So many reasons why. He's isolated, he doesn't socialize, he doesn't have like a frame of reference. There's been nobody for the last 5 or 10 years that's been able to pull him on his shit. There's been nobody that's been able to have a bit of like bantery back and forth with him. Like, again, with the PKA and Wings, when the PKA lads are sort of like joshing and joking about Wings' weight, and he's like, why are they doing that, the arseholes? Don't they know he's depressed? And he's like, he doesn't understand how friendships work, and you can have that back and forth with your friends, because your friends are the ones you trust to call you on your bullshit. They're the ones that you want to say, actually, mate, you're acting like a dick, step back. They're the ones that you want sort of like that. That's why they're your friend. You like their company and you trust what they will say.
Mm-hmm.
But he can't fully invest like that. And he can't sort of like see that the reason for that is him. But Rambo's the closest thing he's got to a friend he ever had. And I think losing that really did hurt him. Rambo hurt him more than Liana did.
Oh, yeah.
When Rambo left, way worse than when Liana left. So,
yeah.
But I don't think that necessarily means he's gay. I just think it's the closest thing he's ever had to a proper, true friendship. And it's gone. And that's wounded him so much. That's one of the deep cuts for him. It's up there with like Wolverine and, you know, losing Liana, the Burger King story, you know, all the really bad ones.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Meerkat, anything you want to add there?
I do, yes. And this also has to do something with the quote, "I feel like I'm poison," that he said, which I do agree with. As a narcissistic person that he is, he tends to not realize, like we discussed today, the toxic things that he does, or he realizes them and justifies how that's not his fault, which leads to people getting distant with him and getting repulsed by him and eventually leaving him. So he is poison. It is kind of sad, but fortunately I can't really feel bad for DSP. So it is what it is. He can't really have friends. He's not really compatible to have genuine, true friendships. And that's how it's going to be. And I think he's kind of content with that. And it probably hurts him a lot, but then again, everything he does is self-motivated. It's self-serving. And really, it's probably not really going to hurt him in the long term not having any friends. So I guess that's it with those two quotes that we were talking about.
Yep. All right, Sam.
Is this the first time he's ever really said something like that? I feel like I'm poison.
Oh yeah, I think so.
That's like a moment of clarity, isn't it? Like he's actually realizing something about himself that I don't think I've ever seen before.
It is
probably
like
the closest he's come, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a 1% introspection, because it's like the kind of things that children would say, "I feel like I'm poisoned." There's not a lot of depth to the statement to it. It's just like really shallow.
Yeah.
It's like, "I think I'm a bad person." Can we get a little bit more self-reflection on that and workshop this idea into something that is actually meaningful and like insightful, you know?
Now, let's be clear, though. It's not because... real quick. It's not because he is poison. He is poison because the trolls make him poison, right? It's not a personal statement. It's when everything I touch goes to shit because all the trolls are here. So it's still not saying I am bad. It's saying I'm bad because of these guys, right? Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah. Yeah, that's sort of like the whole crux of it is that he like you Meerkat said, it's almost like a first step. It's almost like what kids do when you're developing that sort of self-awareness and the ability to be introspective. It's like your first step, but like you said, it doesn't go inwards, it goes outwards. Instead of going, "I feel like I'm poisoned, what's wrong with me, can we talk about it?" Instead of dwelling on it like that and really examining it, it's, "I feel like I'm poisoned, there must be some cause for that, there must be some other reason for that, there must be somebody who's making me feel that way." So the search then becomes external again, and it becomes the trolls, or it's Howard, or anybody, anyone that can justify this is why I'm toxic. So it feels like the first step. It feels like 1% introspection rather than your full level 9900 maxed out introspection.
Why am I toxic?
That as well, yeah.
You still haven't told me.
All right. Last question. We are almost out of time here, but I want to put this to kind of wrap this things up. We went through a lot. Brilliant stuff from Steve, from Sam, from Meerkat. We are going deep here. Hope everyone's enjoying it. Last warning here. If you're not subscribed to the channel, come on and do it. It's not a monetized stream, but subscribing is mandatory. Helps the business. It's liquidity of the business.
So close to 100 likes.
Yeah. But real quick.
This time we got to split everything 4 ways, so make sure to... to drop your contribution.
Get your
we also have questions to read.
Yeah. Let's do that. Let's do the
questions.
Yeah, go ahead, Meerkat. Question man, give it to us.
First question goes from Detractor Maiden over on the Discord machine. DSP confirmed for severe sociopathic tendencies to couple with his obvious narcissism? I guess this one is for Steve.
Yeah, I'd buy that. You have to remember, like, narcissism is part of the cluster B personality disorder group, which means they're all emotional regulation based. They're all based around emotional dysregulation, so you have trouble controlling or appropriately responding with emotions. So sociopathy is part of that. It's one of those disorders. So it's not uncommon for people who are narcissistic to have similar traits. And I've seen people say, like, he's a narcissistic sociopath, which I don't necessarily agree with, because that implies he's a sociopath with narcissistic tendencies. I think it's the other way around. I think his narcissism and the manifestations of that are far stronger than his sociopathic one. But they're there as well. I think he's a narcissist with sociopathic tendencies. So yeah, I would buy that. He definitely displays some of them. So
all right, thank you for the answer. Let's go to the next one. These are all from the Discord. I guess they are based around Steve, because obviously you're the professional one.
Yes.
And we're going to be talking about narcissism.
Because you've seen my videos.
It's the content that matters. It's what's in it that matters. All right. Next one is for Buster, from Buster. Okay. Despite the fact that DSP repeatedly showed he hasn't learned from past mistakes, are there any signs of growth or personal development you could see in the video? I guess this could be for everybody. If anyone wants to answer this, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No.
We're throwing it to you, Steve.
No.
No.
Again, just like with everything else, there's sort of like, guys, I've changed, I've grown. You should give me respect for that. But I've not actually done anything. And narcissists want the respect and the recognition all the time for doing little or nothing. And this is exactly the same thing. He says, I've grown, I've changed, I'm a different person now. But when you see how he is with his chat when they're not talking about him, there's no change, there's no growth. The way he interacts with chat, or the way he interacts with people, or the way he is about, say, like, he saw something on Twitter that he disagreed with, he got really angry. It doesn't mesh. The two are still different. So he's over here in this one going, I'm really changed, I'm different, and I recognize, and this really upset me and all that stuff. But then, tomorrow on stream, back to normal. In fact, even between them two streams, the Feasting with the King and the
we didn't talk about that.
Completely off. That mode completely off. YouTube mode on. And
we didn't talk about that at all. Yeah.
It doesn't exist to me.
This is as short as it gets. Sorry.
But you guys, he was crying. Then he took a break, devoured a bunch of fucking food, and then he went back to crying. That's incredible. He could even do that. Yeah. All right, you guys have anything else to add to this, or we can go to the next question? There's two more, and then we go to the community post.
Okay.
Next question is by Proxicon/Baxter Zevchenko. This is the guy that made the great narcissism video.
Brilliant.
Go check it out. Reclusive in Renton. Do you believe DSP could benefit from seeking professional help? If yes or no, explain why or why not. Go ahead. I guess Steve would manage to answer the best to this one. So
yes, Steve.
Let's go.
Yeah, because everybody would. Everybody benefits from seeking therapy. If you can recognize that you've got a problem and you need help and you seek that help, you're more likely to be willing to work at it, and therefore the therapy is more likely to be successful. But DSP doesn't have that in him. He might think something's wrong and I'm upset, but he can't sort of like recognize that that's a sign, and you should consider seeking therapy, because he can't be introspective. You could force him into therapy, but he wouldn't take part in it, and it wouldn't work. So if he had it in him to sort of like be introspective and think, fuck, I need like some therapy, I need to speak to somebody about this thing that's gnawing away at me, he might have a chance, but he doesn't have that in him, so I don't think he will. But broadly, everybody else does. If you're feeling upset and you think that therapy would help, you should seek it out. It could help. So
there's no way he has time.
Should be plugging that. I'm trained in CPT.
So that's a final answer. No, we'll lock in the final answer.
Yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't have that capability in him. But if he did, he would. He would.
Yeah, that does make sense. Yeah. Thanks. If you guys have nothing else to add, then we move on to the last Discord one. Do you think that lack of any real friends or human interactions have worsened his narcissistic tendencies? Which, from me, that's an instant yes.
Yeah, I mean, is that a question? I mean, yeah. I don't need to add
I'm sure I've gone on about it enough, but yeah, his lack of socialization is killing him. You don't have anyone to push back. Again, friends are the ones you trust to sort of call you on your bullshit, but you also have you'll have behavioral norms that you adopt when you go to work. You'll behave a certain way around your work colleagues, especially if you're working with the public or in a public-facing role, like, you know, if you're a cashier or something. You behave differently than you do with your friends. So you have all these sort of ways of push and pull and sort of like working out boundaries when you socialize. And he has none of that. He has nothing. So he's got no way of interacting with other people. And when people do pull him on his shit or criticize him or whatever, just lean in and bam.
Yep.
So there's no having to adapt. There's no having to learn how to socialize properly and better. You know, there's nothing there. So yeah, it's totally killed him. It's made his narcissism worse because there's nothing to push back on it.
Yeah. One quick thing. I think I said this in week 1, and now you have people say like,
go out.
You say like Chris Chan is like a perfect storm to make that kind of character. And I think Phil was that perfect storm too, because he got big on YouTube when he's in the early 20s. Let's get real. Steve's still dealing with the cat.
Sorry.
When we're in our early 20s, we're very, malleable, our personalities, I think, when you're young 20s, And when you got, all of us kind of think we're a little bit cooler than we are, maybe. And then when you get that validation from the internet that you are a badass and you are pretty cool, that can make you think you are a fucking badass motherfucker on the earth. I'm the coolest guy here. What the fuck do I need? I'm getting money from just playing video games. Everyone loves me. All my comments are positive. I'm the best dude in the world. And then if you cut off friendship too, then it's a real perfect storm to turn out to be not good socially, right? Because your only interactions are people loving you for a while. No, everyone just, feels so cool, feels so cool, feels so cool. Then you cut out all ties with all other friends. You have like 1 or 2 friends, and then shit starts going down. Like everyone hates you all of a sudden, and then that's got to be tough, man. That's got to make you. How can you develop normally when that's your circumstances around you, right? You go from being the baddest dude on the earth, making money, hand over fist, playing video games, and then who needs friends? I don't need friends. Everyone loves me, and then all of a sudden that goes away, and then you're left with everyone that thinks negatively of Phil, and then you have to be a normal human after that. It's got to be tough. I mean, that's what I think.
Plus the issue there is the sudden influx of people going, oh my god, you're amazing, you're great, this is funny, you're brilliant. That resets your baseline expectations of what interactions with people should be. Because again, there's nothing pushing back on that to say, actually, this is not necessarily abnormal, but this is not representative of the majority of social interactions you'll have. Most people you meet aren't going to be like immediately fawning praise. You're going to have to sort of like reset and try again with every different person. So it's like when I started and people were like, oh my god, this is great, do more. I didn't think, shit, I am like king shit now, great, I could be an arsehole. I thought this is unreal and it's not representative of how I am with other people and how I should be going forward with other people. When I meet new people now, I'm not like, yeah, I'm a fucking big deal on YouTube, me. Nearly 2,000 subscribers. Although I do sort of like drop it in every now and then. But you don't make it like a big thing. Whereas for him, that sort of success went straight to his head. And to go forward now would require completely resetting his baseline expectations of interactions with other people. And he can't do that because he has no frame of reference to reset it to. He has no idea of like how out of whack his scale is. So he just expects fawning praise, bans anyone who doesn't, and then DoorDashes his food. So he doesn't even have to go out to pick up food to interact with people in a shop, in a retail setting. So, yeah, it's completely, that success went to his head, and he's just not come down from that.
Mm-hmm. Sam?
Yeah, I think, one thing I think, I was just going to say, it's similar to me, where he just doesn't get it, he doesn't get what people think of him, because like you say, he has no frame of reference. like me, I focus on the kind of the technical stuff a lot of the time. And I said, I think in the first video I made about him, it'd be so easy to fix what he does. But I think that extends to all aspects of him, from our point of view, and from presumably everyone in chat, everyone everywhere thinks the same thing. If you just did this, and this, everything would be great. But he has no concept of that at all, And I think this is a similar thing again.
All right, Meerkat, hit us with the next one.
All right, we go back to a community post. Now, this question is from VLX11387. Question is it a societal problem or just some problem that runs much deeper than any one individual, that Phil is the way he is and can get as far as he does in life?
I think it's just dumb luck. I think it's dumb luck that person at that time happened to fall into that position. That could have been anyone, and it just happened to be Phil.
Yeah.
There's so many people out there who had the capacity to point a camera at their screen and upload videos of them playing games. But he was the one who had the time to do it for hours and flood people's inboxes. And he was the one who could fritter the money away by going and buying the newest games on day one and getting them out that quickly. So it was him. I don't think it was anything societal. I just think it was pure dumb luck that person happened to fall into that set of circumstances. And that person just happened to be a potential narcissist who fell into a set of circumstances that encouraged his narcissism.
Yeah.
Because there is an element of narcissism to this, isn't there? When we put stuff out, there's definitely an air of, I've produced this, I've made this, I am putting this thing of me out into the world for other people to see. So there is an element of it. And that's not necessarily bad. It's always the extent. Because, personality disorders are disorders. Everybody has these aspects to their personality. But the manifestation of them is what makes it a disorder when it's to the point where it's interfering with your life. So having a bit of narcissism by going, yeah, I've uploaded a video and there's like 1,000 views within a day, great. That's fine. But to his extent, is definitely disorder. It's definitely abnormal, and it's definitely the sort of thing that I would seek treatment for, but he's never going to. So yeah, it's not. I don't think it's a societal thing at all. It just happens to be a pure fluke that it's him.
I say there's one thing Phil did. Every kind of successful person has one kind of moment that they do something unique or something that is special that creates their following, right? And Phil's special thing was deciding, hey, I want to point a camera at the TV and do it, right? That's something that all of us alive at that time period had the capability to do, but we didn't. No one else, very few people did, and Phil happened to do that, and he got it. So there's a huge portion of luck involved, but he did take that step, right? He wasn't afraid to put himself out there that much, and I do give him credit for that, right? That's something that he did that many people didn't do, and he took that step. After that, there's a lot of luck involved, of course, in any business, right? And that he's still, standing strong. I don't know if standing strong, but standing is luck for sure. But in the beginning, let's give him credit for that, right? The very beginning, let's give him credit.
Yeah.
He did say, I'm going to put myself on the internet, and I'm not scared of that. I was scared of that. I didn't want to put myself on the internet back then, but he did that. So good on you, Phil, for that one. Meerkat?
That's true. You're right on that. I like to give him credit for that because it does take some effort to be recording all these videos, uploading them, believing in yourself that you can do something out of that. And I also like to say, a lot of times I say this, if you're delusional enough on the internet and you truly believe yourself, no matter what you're doing, you're probably going to find a fan base or at least a base of people who are going to consume your product and who are going to listen to your bullshit. So I think it's a mix of societal stuff and just being at the right place at the right time and sort of the right person. That kind of proved eventually that he's not really the right person since he fails all the time. But it is what it is. So I think it's a mix of both.
Fair. Sam?
Yeah, fair, yeah.
No, I think you guys have said it all, to be honest.
Good enough. All right. Meerkat, any more?
Forgot the question.
All right. We got two more questions.
All right.
One is from Pigsar Animation. Big ups,
Hey, big
Pigsar. What exactly will it take for the den heads to wake up? What would Phil have to do to make them all realize that the detractors are the ones in the right? Is the question.
Sam, you take it first.
I think we've kind of covered this actually a little bit back when we said about the kind of the us and them, that sort of thing. I don't honestly think, unless it was killing someone or something like that. I don't know, but even then maybe. But yeah, I just feel like there's always going to be that kind of us and them, you know. Yep. And I don't know if there's much that could sway them away, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's that, you know, how what stuff you believe in nowadays is more than ever. When you believe in something, that's a part of you, right? So even if it's something really marginal, like, you know, Meerkat, you're talking about someone, flat earther, right? That person that you're fighting with that's a flat earther, that person believing in being a flat earther is them. So when you attack that idea, you're attacking them. And we as humans now, anytime someone comes for us, it's a big thing, right? Oh, you're attacking me, that idea, and then you ingrain in your mind how that idea is correct, right? Even though it's so fucking insane, you still, this is me. I can't change that idea. If I change that idea, I'm changing myself. So I don't think those people are going to change. I mean, the slowly trickle. The trickles has been going on for years, right? The trickle down of people, less people finding Phil interesting as he gets older, and just less interesting. Let's face it. He's not as interesting as he once was. You know, now he's interesting for different reasons, but he's not as interesting as a game player anymore. There's nothing there that's of value or new. So that's going to keep going down, and eventually there'll be less and less people that newly find him and think that's interesting. But Steve, go ahead.
Fuck.
We've gone a long time.
I don't think it's necessarily anything that Phil would do that would wake his audience. I think it has to come from their individual situations, because if you're staying after stuff like how he was with Liana and telling them her personal information, if you're staying past like lying about his dying parents to go fly out and get married, or if you're staying past like the bankruptcy call or the bank leaks, there's probably very little else now that can disconfirm your beliefs enough that you will leave.
Yep.
You know, by this point in When Prophecy Fails, the cult leaders of the cult members that are close enough to the group are there forever. They're not going anywhere. Despite how many times they say the world will end and then it doesn't, they're sticking there. So it has to come externally. It can't be anything Phil does. It will have to be something like a parent pulling them away, or a source of money being taken from them. You know, like somebody will have to lose their job again. And even then, we've seen people, is it Planet Jeff, that either lost his job or lost his car, or I think no, Planet Jeff's one is the partner who died, isn't it, and left them their inheritance, and that's what.
It was his wife.
Yeah, either way, you would have to lose that. You would have to lose the ability to be with Phil enough and give him lots of money. So you would have to have an external force taking you away from Phil.
Yes.
Because there's nothing that Phil could do now that would push you away. It would have to be external. It would have to be someone like a carer dies and your terms of care change, or you lose your job, so you have no ability to give him money anymore. Things like that. It has to be an external thing. I don't think there's anything Phil can do.
Yeah, and real quick, Meerkat, before you get to the last one, if there's any, we talked before about interviews, who we want to get on the show. If you think you are normal and you are a fan of Phil, DM me and I would interview you. If you are a normal person, I'll just talk to you for a little bit and see. And I'd love to have you on the show. And just I don't learn from you about what is interesting about Phil, because for me it's not interesting anymore to anyone that's above the age of 18. I don't know, 15. So what is
Snow Carl?
Snow Carl? Yeah, Snow Carl. There goes another Carl. All right, go ahead, Meerkat. Sorry.
So what's gonna take for the Dents to wake up? I don't think pretty much anything, like Sam said, unless he does a crime or something that is gonna put him in jail. But I think the circle of actual true and honest Dents is gonna get smaller to some point. At some point, it's really not gonna be sustainable for the business, just like we've been saying for the last couple of years, I guess. But eventually that's gonna happen. I don't think he's at any point is gonna be without anybody to like him. I think as long as there's trolls, there's gonna be fans, and vice versa.
Yep.
And the last question is from Miss Ghouls. Are you a scientist? Can you explain why Phil's head is so deformed now? Go ahead.
Well, Sam's a dentist, so you should handle this, Sam.
Oh yeah, I guess
I don't know where this is coming from.
Medical professional Sam, go ahead.
I'm the last person that's qualified to answer this. I don't fucking know.
No, who knows?
Although I don't know. I do sometimes look at him and you see the weird, you know, the mouth thing and all that, and you think, oh, he didn't used to look like that, but he actually did. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So I wonder about the mouth thing, because I think that's when you're ashamed of your teeth, you'll pull your lips either up or down to cover them. So that's why he sort of like looks a bit odd when he talks, and he's trying to keep his lips from moving too much, so he doesn't show too much of his teeth, and that's why he might be a bit mushmouth. But I think like the general odd shape of his head, and I think I can't remember where I read this, but alcohol sort of like affects how the body stores fat. So when it doesn't store fat in its usual places, it stores it elsewhere. And I think of Tammy Slayton from 1,000 Pound Sisters, and she's got like fat on her forehead, and it's like because there's literally no other place for her body to put fat. And that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of the body going, I am running out. I need to start putting it like up here or up here somewhere. I need to find a bit of space. And that's why his jowls are a bit like flabbier. So,
but Phil's not that level. He's not that big. You know what I mean?
No, he's not that big. No, but it's like that's the starting bit of it. That's
okay.
Like it's almost coming on. So, you know, if he does carry on this way, he will gradually increase more and more. And he'll get fatter and fatter and blobbier and blobbier, really. So I think it's that. I think it's diet and exercise, and it's just catching up to him. His body's not 20 anymore, so he can't handle. You know,
Meerkat has a
dwarf. And you remember the bit where Rimmer and Lister are talking about, you know, he's suddenly 25 years old and then looks like a frog hanging upside down. It's that
quote haunts me. I think about that all the time.
When you get down from the bed, the bunk, and I see the frog here.
All right, Meerkat.
If your body was a car, it'd be a write-off.
All right, that was the last question. I guess now we do the outro if there's nothing left. I think.
Yeah, real quick. You cannot talk long. Everyone cannot talk long because we got to go. Where does this rank on terms of Phil's historical events? I'll give you some examples. The Outsider did this tweet, and we're stealing it from you. Go follow The Outsider if you're not already. Where does this go in terms of Phil's stuff, right? We got the masturbating on camera, Panda going to the hospital, Kingdom Hearts Meltdown is one put up there. Where would you put this in terms of, interests, in terms of lore, history books, whatever you want to rank it as? I'll leave it to you. Meerkat, you go first.
I mean, man, 4 of us talked about it for 2.5 hours. So I honestly enjoyed the talk. I thought it was great. Time passed great, and we talked about it like a 12-hour event. So I would put it up there.
Yeah,
it's up there definitely with all the legendary ones. For
sure. Steve?
I feel uncomfortable putting it like on the same level as Panda, because for me that's a big one. And obviously the incident is always going to be number one because he's the guy. But I feel like it's on par with like the bankruptcy calls and the bank leaks.
Yeah.
I feel like it's sort of about that level. It's big, but it's still not the worst thing, Because I mean, Liana and when that happened, that was happening then, And no matter how many times it's like, oh, we'd be broken up for age, that happened then.
Yeah.
But he's talking here about stuff that's 7 years old, so it doesn't feel like it has the same impact. But it's still big enough. It's still incredibly revealing and an incredibly bad thing for him to do. So it's like on par with like the bank leaks for me.
Sam?
Yeah, it's up there. It's top 5 definitely for me. Like I think I agree with Steve. It's not quite as bad as the Panda thing, the bank leaks, the incident. But it's almost
the fappings.
But somebody, I can't remember who it was, said that wherever you rank it, it's definitely, unless something amazing happens, it's definitely going to be in number 1 in Secret Limited's video this year.
yeah.
Legendary call out there. So, all right, guys, that will be the show for today. I have to say huge thanks to the man of the 2 hours and 23 minutes. Steve of the Dead brought a lot of hype, a lot of information here today. We're still going to have to rewatch this a few times to fully ingest and understand the things he said. Hope you guys in the chat understand that and loved it as well. If you're not subscribed to us already, come on, please do it. We'll be back next Sunday. We'll be back again with another show for you about, what we're talking about. So please be there. Sam, any last words?
No, not really.
No,
No, just, I'm on Twitter, Fantastic Mr. Sam. I've got a video in the works. I say it all the time. It's going to come out at some point. But yeah, Fantastic Mr. Sam everywhere. And yes, thank you everyone for being here. It's awesome to see this podcast growing every week. It's amazing. So cheers.
Meerkat.
Thanks everybody tuning in. Thanks to the legend ALTInsider for the copious amounts of notes that got me through today's podcast, despite not even watching the DSP shit all the way. So give that man his flowers. Go follow him on Twitter. Steve, of course, thank you for being here. Thank you for limiting yourself to only 2.5 hours talking with us. We're looking forward for the next 2.5 hours to 5 hours that we're gonna talk with you. And I know this with you, we've been talking about this for a long time, and it was great to finally get it on with a lot of people watching. Hopefully they enjoyed. Big ups to Sam. If you've seen the Stinger transition, he did that, so go and smash the like in his honor or in mine. I'm going to be coming up with a 3-part, at least, stream series with nitpicking the shit out of the DSP responding to Rambo and Howard, where we're going to dive into it the way I like it, really petty as fuck, and microanalyzing and nitpicking it as fuck.
Yes.
And that's it for me. Thanks, everybody. I was one of your hosts, Phil Schwartz and Burnell, and tune in next time. Bye.
Yeah, I just want to end on one quote. Remember, if you didn't like this episode, that is 100% on your side. We did everything correct. You didn't tell us what you didn't like about that episode. So if anything's wrong, it's on you. We'll see you next week.
You tell us. Yeah.
See you guys.
Thanks.